Jesse, and mic check, 1, 2. I am so ready
to inspire, motivate, and educate. Weekends on UMERADIO. The sun is up, and so are we.
News, interviews, hot topics. Connect with us. Let us know what's on your mind. Follow, comment, subscribe.
We're everywhere. UMERADIO app, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, iTunes, TuneIn, and all other digital platforms. Email us info@umeradio.com. On WhatsApp, 201-503-6731. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, all at UMERADIO. Follow me, Jesse, on Instagram at ink.jess, that's ink.jess, and on Facebook at Jesselyn Abel, that's JESSELYNE, Abel, ABEL.
And follow me, Marsha J, on all social media platforms at official Marsha J, or you can just check out marshajnow.com.
Weekends on UMERADIO with Marsha J and Jesse,
amplifying the voice of positive influencers.
UMERADIO, positive entertainment 24/7. Subscribe on YouTube and click the notification bell.
Microphone testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Microphone testing. Can you hear me? Testing, testing. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you, Jesse. Please check your microphone. Marsha J, can you hear me? Testing, testing. Testing, testing.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Wonderful. I can hear you now, Marsha J, but I cannot hear Jesse. So Jesse, let us know what's happening and let us know when you're ready. Let's just test before we go live again. Good morning, ladies. How are you today?
Not bad. Nervous, but not bad.
Why are you nervous? You're live. Tell your audience why you're nervous.
It's going to be a good show today. Whenever I'm there, but it's going to be a really great show.
Okay. I see you. So now that your audio is there, Jesse, can we get your audio, please? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Jesse, are you here? She's trying to tell us she's here, but all we can see her smile is her smile. We can just see teeth. We can't hear anything. Maybe you want to remove yourself and come back.
Or if she has an earphone in, see if that works.
I am not sure what's happening, but I'm going to allow you, Marsha J, to go ahead. So I'll just remove myself.
Good morning, everyone. It's Weekends with Marsha J and Jesse. And listen, we are looking forward to a great session today. And we want to say, first of all, thank you, Lord, for waking us up this morning. And also thank you to all our partners, our supporters, listeners, and viewers from all over the world. We definitely will be having conversations that will be of help to you. So join us in the comment section. Let us know what you're thinking. And if you need advice and answers to a question to help you grow, leave it in the comment section, or you can can email us at info@umeradio.com. It really is our hope that this family program will become a resource for you to be inspired, motivated, and educated. So, again, welcome to Weekends with Marsha J and Jesse. I am Marsha J, and Jesse is just about to come on in a quick minute. So, the time is now 8:10 in the morning. Wherever you are from, let us know in the comments what time it is on your side of the world. So thank you so much for joining us. We are live on YouTube and Facebook right now, and we want to say a big hello to everyone right across the network and that is watching. And please let us know, type that in the comments too. What time is it where you are and where you are actually watching from. All right. So this year or this season, we want to make sure that we are connecting with you. So again, leave us a shout out or a comment, and we want to shout you out too. All right. So we can be heard on the following platforms. We are on Apple app and Google Play, iTunes Podcast, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Podcast, Podbean, TuneU, Live 365, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, and Listen Notes, right? And if you want a great deal or a discount, we invite you to go to umeradio.com/deals. Remember, we are always adding value to you. So again, for discounts and deals, you can go to umeradio.com/deals. All right, so here's what's coming up in today's program. Right after this, we'll be going straight into our morning's devotion. Let me pull up the topic today for you. All right, so we're pulling up today's topic for our morning's devotion. Here we go. Legally his. So that's our topic that we'll be looking on today, and this is courtesy of our daily bread. Then we are going to be looking at the front page of 3 newspapers: the New York Times, CARICOM.com, and African News. And in our news highlights, we are going to be having a very interesting discussion about Derek Chauvin's case, the juror who is possibly going to be impeached. You want to stay tuned for that. And we have our usual inspirational guest, Coach Raquel, and she'll be doing 21 behavior changes. I see myself confirmations. Right after that, we have lifestyle, wealth mindset, visualize your abundance, wellness, to the rise of a midwife. So this week definitely was known as Nurses Week, Midwives Week, and we're going to be having a conversation. And then we're going to go into our new segment, which is Voice of Truth. You want to stay tuned for that. And inside our talent showcase, we will have a nominee for the 2021 Juno Awards in Canada. And of course, we have our DJ Top 5. Guys, have you voted? Be honest. Have you voted? If you have not yet voted, you need to log into umeradio.com and look for the DJ Top 5 and vote before we get to this segment. And y'all know who you're going to vote for, right? I'm winking, so you know exactly who you are going to vote for. It's 5 of us as DJs. We have DJ Kelly, we have DJ KTE, we have Lady Miss have not voted for this week. Inside Travel Boss, we're going to be looking at prepping for my New York summer travel tips. So we have quite a bit lined up for you today. We have categories inside our quiz part of the show, and because we'll be looking at women, and we'll hear more from them. And of course, our picture of the day is courtesy of Jesse. And you want to stay tuned to see what she has selected for picture of the day. Jesse, are you back?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes. Hi, guys. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. I don't know what was going on, but I am here now. That is all that matters. You guys can hear me. And yeah, I'm excited for this devotion.
Yes, definitely. And we are gonna go right.
Welcome to today's encouragement from Our Daily Bread. Today's reading, titled Legally His, was written by Amy Boucher Pye. Liz cried for joy when she and her husband received the birth certificate and passport for their child, making the adoption legally binding. Now, Milena would always be their daughter, forever part of their family. As Liz pondered the legal process, she also thought of the true exchange that happens when we become part of Jesus' family. No longer are we held down by our birthright of sin and brokenness. Rather, she continued, we enter into the fullness of God's kingdom legally when we are adopted as his children. In the Apostle Paul's day, if a Roman family adopted a son, his legal status would change completely. Any debts from his old life would be canceled, and he would gain all of the rights and privileges of his new family. Paul wanted the Roman believers in Jesus to understand that this new status applied to them too. No longer were they bound to sin and condemnation, but now they lived according to the Spirit. And those the Spirit leads are adopted as God's children. Their legal status changed when they became citizens of heaven. If we have received the gift of salvation, we too are God's children, heirs of his kingdom and united with Christ. Our debts have been canceled by the gift of Jesus' sacrifice. We no longer need to live in fear or condemnation. Today's Our Daily Bread devotional scripture reading is from Romans chapter 8, verses 1 through 2 and 10 through 17. Therefore, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus, because through Christ Jesus, the law of the Spirit who gives life has set you free from the law of sin and death. And now picking up at verse 10, but if Christ is in you, then even though your body is subject to death because of sin, the Spirit gives life because of righteousness. And if the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies because of his Spirit who lives in you. Therefore, brothers and sisters, we have an obligation, but it is not to the flesh to live according to it. For if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the misdeeds of the body, you will live. For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. The Spirit you received does not make you slaves, so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship. And by him we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in his sufferings, in order that we may also share in his glory. Let's pray. Dear God, thank you for drawing us to you and into the fullness of your kingdom, for forgiving our sins and for calling us yours when we turn our lives over to you. Help us now to live fully committed to following you and trusting you with our whole life. Thank you, Father. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Today's encouragement was provided by Our Daily Bread Ministries.
All right, guys. Wasn't that so nice, Marsha? I think you're muted, hon.
Thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
Yes, awesome devotion this morning, legally his, and I trust that you are blessed by how we started our day today. And now we go into the news. Jesse, what's on the front page of the New York Times?
All right, so let's take a look at what's on the front page here. So today we have one title: Vaccine Giant Fuels the Crisis Crippling India, and Empire is Humbled by Crushing Demand. And it states that Adar Punalwala, sorry if I'm butchering your name, but he made big promises. The 40-year-old chief of the world's largest vaccine maker pledged to take a leading role in the global effort to inoculate the poor against COVID. His India-based empire signed deals worth hundreds of millions of dollars to make and export doses to suffering countries. Those promises have fallen apart. India, engulfed in a coronavirus second wave, is laying claim to his vaccines. Other countries and aid groups are now racing to find scarce doses elsewhere. Hiring is uneven, with some industries shedding workers. And you guys can see on the front page there's just graphics of different industries. Tepid job growth inflames a debate over U.S. benefits. Biden stands pat as GOP faults him. Confusing signals in April's labor data. And if we scroll down a bit, some more. Justice Department adds charges in Floyd case. 4 former Minneapolis police officers were indicted on federal charges unsealed on Friday of violating the civil rights of George Floyd, the Black man whose killing last year set off months of nationwide demonstrations against police violence. The indictment came weeks after one of the officers, Derek Chauvin, was convicted of second-degree murder in a state prosecution in Mr. Floyd's death. The federal charges amount to another extraordinary censure of law enforcement officials who have rarely faced criminal charges for using deadly force, particularly accusations of civil rights violations. He went to mayor's school and he wants a job, a lifelong mission to defy the kingmakers. And last but not least, Trump Justice Department obtained phone records of 3 reporters.
Wow. Awesome stuff. Interesting stuff happening in the news. And we want to thank CARICOM today, caricom.org. We're going to go through the front page of the CARICOM news. And, we'll be pulling that up in a second. But let me go ahead and begin. So we have the 24th meeting of the Council for Foreign and Community Relations, COFCOR, virtual, on the 6th to 7th of May 2021 communique. Trinidad and Tobago announces additional C-19 control measures. Teaching Regional Integration, CSME, in CARICOM classrooms. Renewed Effective Multilateralism Imperative, PM Gonzalez. And Jamaica extends travel restriction to India, Trinidad, and Tobago. Early warning pandemic hub, plan unveiled by WHO's Tendros and Germany's Micro. New regulations take effect in St. Lucia. All right, and we have travel advisory extended for travelers from Brazil, UK, South Africa. And finally, we have WHO chief hails monumental moment in COVID fight as US throws support behind India. And these are just some of the top stories on the front page of CARICOM today, and we're going to go over to africanews.com and we'll be scrolling their front page. In Tunisia orders lockdown amidst worst ever health crisis. And we have mixed reactions in Uganda over ex-child soldier Dominic ICC sentencing. In Mozambique, mission to train Mozambique army mulled by EU, South Africa. Somalia restores diplomatic ties with Kenya, state media. In Uganda, ICC sentences Ugandan rebel leader Ongwenen to 25 years in prison. And we have featured story on the front page, Progress, Peace and the Young Keys to Africa's Future. And e-commerce, can COVID growth be sustained? And that's inside Business Africa. And we can have a stable Africa. And editor's choice, South Africa to ban breeding and hunting lions in captivity. Wow. And we have the 8th edition of the Nollywood Week Film Festival, and that goes global. So these are actually some of the news that's happening over there in Africa this morning. Well, Jesse, a lot's going on in the world. And you can always check out the news, and we have it currently on the screen. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts about what's going on in the world. We have a very special highlight for you this morning. As you may know, that there is a possibility for the Derek Chauvin case to be reopened. Can we have a quick conversation about that, Jesse?
Yes. I think it really, oh my gosh. It really he just needs to be put in jail. I don't truly understand why they're trying to. What's the point of it? Like, I feel like people need to be held accountable for their crimes, and that's it. That's plain and simple. That's to put it and summarize it. People need to be held accountable for their crimes.
And with this new case with the juror that, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that, where he denied that he was ever at a political rally. And he was seen with the Black Lives Matter shirt on, has now caused the possibility of the case to be reopened.
Removed, yeah. And he won't be held accountable. And I feel like I don't know how they truly select, jurors and stuff, because I know you have to avoid bias. But I had a previous high school like science teacher that was going to be trialed for the juror to select for the O.J. Simpson case, and they let him go because he was a football coach. So I don't know truly the process of selection, and I don't want to go into conspiracy theories to be like, oh, they didn't like select, precisely for the you know what I'm saying? I don't want to go into that, but I'm just like, how this is such a huge important trial for civil rights for Black people, and now it's just going to might just go off to the wayside, and people think that it's okay, and it's not.
It's not okay. And I totally agree with you. When someone can actually put such a major case at risk by not saying everything that needs to be said, and now, the case that we have to put in the hands of coming back. And hopefully, it won't. But if it
Right.
does, we hope it go in our favor. In a few minutes, we're going to be having with us Mr. Tony Wilson, who is an attorney at law. But we're going to go back to his segment in a quick minute. Um, so what we're going to do now is actually go into our inspirational segment, right, with Coach Raquel. And then we're going to come back to that quick interview. Now, every week we have with us this very amazing, inspirational guest, Coach Raquel, and she brings with her a 21 behavior change. And before she comes on, we're going to be playing a clip that we have for Miss Lauren Carter, who is a Democrat running for city council. Let's listening on that interview right now. Marsha J, I'm super excited to have you back with us every single week. And of course, I'm doing well. Thank you for coming. Thank you for
having me.
Sure, no problem. So we're going to have a conversation about commitment to community, because you believe that when people trust their leaders, it builds a committed community. Speak with us about your thoughts on the importance of commitment.
Well, certainly it's the reason why anyone would to offer is this. You would have to know that you're a servant. And with that servant mindset comes a commitment to doing everything possible for all the stakeholders of the community. That would be the residents, the homeowners, business owners, faith community, not-for-profit, institutions, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to serve the stakeholders, and also committed to doing the right thing, to doing what's right, to having integrity, to being honest, and really to work hard. So that's what commitment to community is to me. That's the foundation of how I should operate as a council person, and then bring my ideas along.
In the community currently where you serve, do you find that the people trust their leaders? Do you think they have a difficulty doing that?
Well, certainly a lot of people are disillusioned because of the leadership that the city has had over the last several years. Some have been involved in corruption, in scandals. Some have been indicted. Some have been found guilty of various crimes. So it is absolutely true that quite a few people are skeptical, and some of the people that found themselves in these positions, in these situations, there were high hopes for them. People really believed that they were the ones who were really going to turn the city around, but unfortunately they got caught up in a lot of scandals, and sometimes the scandals they were in were much worse than their predecessors. So people have become disillusioned because of it. They have, some of them are not willing to even be engaged anymore. So that's why I'm telling people that I think the good thing about me and my candidacy is that in my time of working for the city, I demonstrated hard work, ethics, a good work ethic, and ethics in general, integrity, passion, service. So I tried to just explain to people that that's the same type of service that they'll receive, just in a different way, because I'll be a council person.
We definitely here at UME Radio always support Lauren Carter, and we encourage you to support her as well. Go over to her website, laurenforcitycouncil.com, and make sure that you vote for her, not just vote, but see how you can get involved. See how you can get involved with the resources that you currently have. And in order to see the full interview of what we just played, you can go on over to our YouTube page. And if you're watching from YouTube, after you've done watching the show today, you can just scroll down and you will see the Lauren Carter interview and her interest in community development. All right. So, Jesse, thank you so much for coming. All right, so our guest is still not in studio as yet, and we're still awaiting Mr. Tony Wilson. And as we do that, we are going to go over to our inspirational segment. Yes, and it's by one of our absolute favorite persons here on Weekends with Marsha J. And Jesse, would you like to introduce her, Jesse?
Of course, I would love to introduce her. Her name is Coach Raquel. And if you guys are new, let me tell you a little bit about her. So she is a proven strategist and a beneficiary of the E. Cornell Bank of America Women's Entrepreneurship at Cornell University, where she completed certification in entrepreneurship. She is also a certified career coach. As a child, Coach Raquel endured the countless challenges of poverty firsthand, which ultimately shaped her into the compassionate, courageous individual she is today. And in overcoming such hardships, she has become adept at helping others avoid these and other pitfalls of career and life to step into their best versions possible. Above all, with over 15 years of leadership experience, she is a true advocate of positive change in the 21st century, helping individuals and companies achieve their goals. And today we bring on Coach Raquel. Thank you so much for coming on our show this morning.
There we go. Good morning. It's a pleasure being here. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So it's a pleasure being here with you today. And today's topic for 21 behavior change is I see myself. And to learn more about myself and what I do, you can visit mycoachministry.com. So how are you ladies doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Coach. How you doing?
Wonderful. I'm very well. Thank you. So how I came to this topic, I was watching Iyanla Van Zandt. She's my spiritual mama, my purpose mama, the person I look to for guidance as I pursue my purpose, which I believe is to help people connect with their divine purpose in order to receive that reward that God has for us, because I do believe he has a reward for each of us, because he wouldn't assign us without consideration of a reward or the support services to support what we do. So that's how I came to this topic. I see myself. Our Father, the Creator, our God, the God of the universe, King of all kings and Lord over all, when he created us, he was satisfied with his handiwork. In fact, the Bible refers to us as his masterpiece. And in Ephesians 2:10, it says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago." Why is this topic relevant today? It is relevant because I feel as though we're living in this environment, in this world today, where people are defined by what they have, how they transform their bodies. Like, people are modifying God's work. And that is what we're looking to and calling that beautiful, as opposed to the natural things. I take it as far as even scents, right? We've become so acclimatized, I believe, to perfume, cologne, that we reject the very natural sense of our natural bodies. I remember I was having a conversation with someone one day, and I was saying, have you ever thought about why is it when you go to the bathroom or you pass wind or something, the scent seems to be so strong and so bad that it turns us off, right? But have we ever really thought about why that may be? Why is it that animals don't feel the same way? And why is it that when, I don't know, for me personally, when I go into the space of animals, it doesn't, to me, it just smells like a natural, like it just smells natural. It's not as bad.
Yeah.
Right, it's nature. And that's because I already have a mindset that they're animals, so it's okay for them to smell like that, right? But I don't give myself the same understanding. Right, I think had it not been for so much of the perfume and the cologne and those things that we've become sensitized to, then I don't believe that our natural sense would be so repulsing to us. And we have to ask ourselves, because I've heard persons say things like, "Oh my gosh, my belly's bad," or "Oh my gosh, my this is that." But that's a natural thing that's happening, right? The natural emission of whatever it is that we take in. So, and I'm not saying that we should just accept it for what it is. I'm saying before you start defining your sense and describe and using it to define who you are or to describe who you are, I would highly recommend understanding your natural body sense, right? Before you start doing that. That's all I am saying. So it is my hope that that inspires someone. So now I'm going to go through my 21 behavior change for today. So who do you say you are? Who do you say you are? And I want to share this video for my podcast. Let me see if it will play. I am purpose driven. It's not personal. It's purpose. When you see me, there's deeper than what meets the eyes. There is a soul, a spirit, a divine purpose. So I just wanted to share. Okay, so I just wanted to share that. How we see ourselves and others is a reflection of how we see God, whether we admit that or not, right? However, when we are at our lowest moments or moments of self-hate or low self-esteem, the God factor is not necessarily in our thoughts. Or when you see someone who does not look the way the world defines beauty, when in our minds they lack, the God of creation is not top of mind. So for me, I have grown into an awareness that I am who God made me to be. I am all that I am designed for. I am who He says I am. I am not a look. I am a soul. My beauty is not in my body. It is in my soul, heart, and mind. It is in my character, the way I view the world, and how I make others feel. My beauty is in the way I live in His light, pursue His divine purpose, and reflect His goodness to those I encounter. So here we go. Here are some affirmations that you can share with me, and I have it on the screen, so I hope you can see it, so you can see what it is, so you can affirm as well, should you choose to. I see myself through God's eyes. And how I personally do that is through reading the Bible and connecting with Him and speaking with Him and connecting with Him in my own personal way. I see myself as a masterpiece. I see myself as whole. I see myself as capable. I see myself as smart. I see myself purpose-driven. I see myself loving. I see myself wealthy. I see myself kind. I see myself honest. I see myself chosen by God for an appointed time. I see myself as a child of God. I see myself with the mind of God. I see myself worthy. I see myself valued. I see myself as royalty, daughter of the King of Kings. I see myself lowly, not greater or less of any, or least of any. I see myself called to serve. I see myself traveling the world and beholding his greatness. I see myself as someone who matters. I see myself as a force, a positive force. And number 21, and this one I want you to remember. This one means the most to me. It's my healing place. I see myself as I am. God made and God designed. How do you see yourself, the God created soul that you are? How we see ourselves can only be rooted in how we perceive God.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that when you know who you are and you know you're God's and you know you belong to a God, the God that created this great world and those in it, you're at a better place of forgiving, loving,
Yep.
understanding, and the whole works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those things come easy. Like for me,
Yes.
apologizing is so easy.
Yep.
Whatever makes you happy, I'm here to facilitate to the best of my capacity. Yes, it's because I know who and whose I am.
Yeah.
It is my hope that this 21 behavior change, I see myself affirmations, will empower someone. Now, if you have questions for me, there you go.
Yes. I mean, even I have a little activity for the viewers that are on YouTube right now. That if anything of this message resonated with you guys, I actually want you guys in the comments to say how you see yourself, just like Coach Raquel did. And if you liked anything of it, give it a thumbs up. You know, share this message with everyone. Coach, I feel like it is, I feel like it's really necessary because one thing that I do, I would say I see myself as the light, just as
Yes.
God was the light of this world and he
Yes.
made us to be
In
the light
his
of the world.
image.
So I see
Absolutely.
myself as light
Yes.
in his image and to just emulate light. I try my best every single day. We know people are people, but I
Yes.
try myself every day to emulate light and to give off because that is what I want to receive from others. That is the type of people that I need to be around my presence. And yeah.
Absolutely. And the unique thing is, right? Sometimes I think we get so sensitized because you see, the senses are there to help us navigate and survive in this world. And so they're very strong. And I think what happens, and this is just my perspective, I think what happens is we get so set in the five senses that we forget the internal things, the spiritual things, the mind things. And so we start again looking at what looks popular and start. There's a thing called sensory adaptation that I learned when I think it was human and social biology. It's called sensory adaptation. It's where you start tasting something, and after a while, for example, if you're stuck in an elevator and someone farts in that elevator, right? And depending on how long it lasts, let's say it lasts an hour. After the first couple of minutes, it's not so surprising. It's not so shocking anymore.
Yeah.
It's like it becomes, you adapt to it, right?
Yeah.
And I think what happens to us is we adapt to what is happening with us and forget the unearthing that we need to do to learn ourselves, right?
Yes.
So I fall victim to that too sometimes, where I look at myself and I start comparing myself. But why would I do that? I'm the only one of me. right? I don't, unless I go to a surgeon, I don't have the capacity to determine how my arms will look. Because I didn't create myself, I don't have the capacity to determine how my eyes will look. I don't have the capacity to, there's certain, I can put clothes on, I can put hair on, but at the very basic of who I am, like sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, like, will someone love me as I am? But as long as God loves me as I am, that's most important. And what I've learned about love is people love people who love themselves.
Yes.
Yes, you have to start loving you first. And sometimes when we think we're not being accepted, it's not because the world didn't accept us. It's that we haven't accepted ourselves. And so we're projecting that on the rest of the world, but expecting them to do different. No one can love you more than you love yourself. No one will see you different than you see yourself, because what you project, what you defend, what you pay attention to, see, that will tell people, other persons, how you see yourself, how you perceive yourself, how you feel about yourself. And whatever you feel about yourself, believe it or not, you are in fact feeling that way about God. If you look at your tummy and think it's too big and it shouldn't be that big, then you are also speaking about God and how he made you and how you think he should have or should not have made you. But I'll tell you this, and then I'm going to go because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm hearing feedback. Is that me? I don't know. Well, what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to share this experience I had. I remember it was in 2019. For a month, I could not use the bathroom. I could only do number one. I couldn't do anything with my anus, right? Nothing. I never knew how important that thing was. I have fallen in love with it. You know, the pain that I felt is unmatched. I couldn't do anything with it. I remember praying to God and asking God, could you please let me fart? Just let me do that. If I could just do that, I feel the pain that I'm feeling inside my body. There was so much pain in my tummy and I didn't know where it was associated with. It was like, I don't know if it was the nerve that was hurting me. I couldn't locate the pain. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't stand. I couldn't do anything. It is my hope and my prayer that no one has to go through that to understand the value of the natural things that enables our bodies to function. So the next time you look at your tummy or your thigh or your whatever, before you criticize or curse it, thank God for it just as it is. Because he who made you just as you are. Thank you for having me on your show.
You are so welcome, Coach Raquel. I thank you so much. Guys, if you guys were inspired by Coach Raquel, if anything of what she said resonated with you, type in the comments down below what you guys thought, what was your favorite part, what was really influential for you. Comment, how do you see yourself? I am blank. So guys, I am Marsha. I don't know if you Coach, every time she comes on, I get so emotional.
Yes, me too, definitely. And you know what? Her words are always profound, and they're always the truth. And that is why we keep bringing her back every single week. Thank you so much, Coach. Definitely. All right, Jesse, that was an awesome segment. We're gonna go into our next area of conversation, which is gonna be our new segment, Voice of Truth. Right. So, Jesse, tell us some more about Voice of Truth.
So, Voice of Truth is an awesome new segment that covers 4 different areas, really. So, the first one is top stories, and we'll give you guys some breaking news, analysis, exclusive interviews, headlines, commentaries on events affecting New Yorkers, people of color, and migrants. And we go into that with we might share some migration stories, some migration patterns. And this is because migration is critical for the advancement of countries and the world at large. And some of the United States' biggest companies are founded by immigrants. However, there are also stories that that are of human trafficking, people are locked up abroad, there's statelessness, and more. So we're going to share some of that with you. Obviously, since C-19, the whole world has been put on a shift, and I think in history it will be known as, eventually pre-C-19 and post-C-19. So we're going to share some C-19 stories that took the world by storm. And last but not least, we also have stories of hope. Now, we know that, yes, C-19 is going on, and, some areas are doing better than others, and depending on where you are, your countries may start to open up some of the industries again. But we're not going to always focus on just everything that's going wrong. We want to share with you guys light. We want to share with you guys hope. In our last segment for Voice of Truth, we're going to share with you stories of hope. And every week we'll share a ray of hope with you, inspiring stories that will inspire and motivate you no matter how difficult life is, guys. Remember that there's hope and you guys have a bright future.
Wow, Jesse, thank you so much. We're looking forward to an awesome segment where that is concerned. But I want us to go to, can we start with Ray of Hope? Let's start with Ray of Hope.
Yes, we can start with Ray of Hope. And now I found this article of this young, amazing Black woman who is just so inspiring. She is 12 years old. And what she's doing is she is going to be a future NASA engineer. If we could pull up that article a little bit and scroll down a bit. Yeah, so over the course of the pandemic, the landscape of education has drastically changed, but that doesn't stop it for one brilliant girl. Her name is Alina Anale, and she's already earned her high school diploma and is set to attend Arizona State University via remote learning in May. So this month, guys. And then I said she's 12 years old. She is 12. With a planned double major in astronomical/planetary science and chemistry, Alina's goal is to become a NASA engineer by the time she is 16, where she hopes to employ her extraordinary skills to build rovers like the ones that sent Mars on missions. Guys, this is absolutely amazing. This warms my heart. I'll be driving one of those, there's a quote that she said, I'll be driving one of those, excuse me, my voice is all over the place. If we could scroll down real quick, just to see what she said, that quote. Yes, I'll be driving one of those space mobiles by the time I graduate college. And you guys know you got to speak it. Speak it into existence, claim it to God, and it will happen. And she's already on her way. I know that for sure. So that is our little ray of hope for today.
Thank you so much, Jesse. And that is amazing. Always see our women of color who are rising in different spheres. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, now we're going to go into our wealth segment. Yes. And today's topic, inside of wealth. But before that, a wealth segment is a set of beliefs, habits, and behaviors that separates the wealthy from the rest. A wealth mindset will guide you to make the most out of the money you have. And so today, inside Wealth Mindset, we're going to be looking at visualizing your abundance. And Jessie is going to share with us her vision board.
Yeah, so we pull up that link there. You'll see my vision board after, guys. You'll see. I'm not gonna hide it. But there's this article that we're gonna read off of, and it says manifesting money using the law of attraction or visualizing your abundance. And this comes from jackcanfield.com. And as we scroll down to number one of the ways that you can visualize your abundance is really identify your limiting beliefs about money. I'm just going to scroll all the way down. All right. So, in order to activate the law of attraction in your life, you must identify and change your limiting beliefs about money. Now, there are things like money doesn't grow on trees and is therefore extremely difficult to acquire. Or people would say the idea that money can't buy happiness, or the limiting belief that you can't be rich and be a good person at the same time. And before you begin leveraging the law of attraction, it is important to first identify and address why limiting beliefs about money that you might have. So once you see money for what it really is, an accessible, unlimited supply of a resource you can use in any way that you desire, it is much easier to form the habits and mindset necessary to acquire wealth. One great way to address any limiting beliefs about money is through the use of positive affirmations. For example, if you realize that you view money as something that is scarce and difficult to acquire, you could use a positive affirmation as, I am a money magnet. Everything I touch turns to gold. Another one you could use is, I am releasing any and all negative thoughts and emotions about money, and I am happy and free to visualize my dreams. Or, I am creating all the money I want and need to accomplish everything I want to do in my life. Number 2. Visualize your wealth as if you've already achieved it. So, the law of attraction dictates that the things you believe inwardly and project outwardly will be the things that you attract into your life. If you want to attract something as money, therefore, it's important to visualize it as you already have it. Visualizing a world where you have all of the money that you desire not only creates a mindset that is more receptive to a financial gain, but it also enables you to imagine what your life would be like once you have reached your goals. This is and of itself can serve as a powerful source of motivation that will keep you pushing forward when things get difficult. And it states towards the bottom, one of the big reasons why the wealthy have no problem getting richer is that they see the money they don't have as something that is both abundant and acquirable, while at the same time seeing the money they do have as a tool that can be used to make more money rather than something that has to be protected or saved. This type of abundance mindset comes naturally when you have a lot of money, but it can also be developed by visualizing money as something that you already have in abundance. If you want to create a physical anchor point for your visualizations, try carrying around $100 bill in your pocket. Another thing I would say is, say you have a blank check, just a regular check, and either you're starting a business or you're wanting a certain type of salary, write down that number and pin it, walk with it every single where you go, because even though it's a check, your mind is thinking like, I already have it, even though it's fake. You're like, I already have this money, and you're walking around with it. So it will come. And thirdly, the universe will provide you with more. Finally, remember that the universe will provide you with more of what you're grateful for. Never underestimate the power of gratitude. Ultimately, the things that you are grateful for will be the things that will tend to pursue with the most passion. Truly being grateful for something also tends to eliminate any limiting beliefs you have and will make you more receptive to new opportunities. As you go about adopting a beneficial mindset regarding money that enables you to leverage the law of attraction, and don't forget about the importance of gratitude. Be thankful for the money that you have. Be thankful for every opportunity you get to make more money, and be thankful when those opportunities pay off. Now, if you guys stuck through with that, my little picture of the day, I'm going to pop it up in a minute, is my vision board.
But Jesse,
And
while it's coming up, I really like the one you said about getting a blank check and signing it. I think I've done
yes,
something like that before, and it felt extremely empowering. So, I know checks cost a lot for those who still use checks.
checks, yeah.
Right, but you can even print out a
You could,
make-believe check and
yeah.
yeah, it figures in.
Yeah, or you could, I mean, I don't know, certain, depending on your bank, I know every bank's different, but if
Yeah,
you walk into the bank and you say, hey, I need like 5 void checks, 5 blank checks, there's usually like a small amount that they're able to give you for free. So you could
right.
just take one of those and do that. But up is on my vision board. And guys, this is not, if you guys think of vision board, you might have done it in school with like construction paper and cutting it magazines and glue. You guys could still do that. But I did it via internet. I used a site called Canva. I found pictures online. So my biggest quote I have here, it is your light that lights the world. Like I said, from our Inspire segment, talking to Coach, I am the light. I believe that. If you guys don't know, I'm a student studying to be an orthoptist, and I will graduate in 2022. And I put that because one, it will hold me accountable, and also to graduate, you need to pass written and oral boards. And Marsha, I am that person that like I second guess myself a lot on tests, even though I'm right the first time, and I don't want to on those tests like second guess myself and then make myself wrong and get and not pass. But so make me pass. 10K a month. I started a business very recently, and my goal eventually for that is to reach 10K a month. That debt-free life does not pertain also to now, but for the rest of my life, I'm none, not a zilch. These are the 3 places that I really want to go to, guys. If you guys have some, vacation trips that you want to go, like your top 3 places, comment in the comment section down below. Let us know. Tokyo, Thailand, and South Africa. Marsha,
Those are
I
your
need
top
to.
two places.
Those are my top 3 places as of now,
My
as of
top three
today.
places.
At 27, those are my top 3. Do you have a top 3?
Well, I'm thinking Dubai, Paris, and I've always wanted to go to Hawaii.
Ah, nice. Those are good places too. I want to go to Dubai too. But when I go, I want to go with like, I don't want to go for just a week. Like, I need to like, I feel like it's
So
one of those places.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. What do you guys think? Let us know.
definitely an awesome segment and an awesome way to visualize abundance. While we're waiting on those who are going to comment in our comment section, let's go over to wellness. And this week, as you may know, or those who are watching and listening may know, double things happened. 2 things happened.
Mhm.
There was International Nurses Day, and we want to salute all nurses, and International Midwives Day, And so we want to share an article with you, courtesy of medpagetoday.com on the Black midwives movement. All right. So it says one answer to the higher rates of maternal and neonatal mortality among African Americans. A midwife, especially a Black midwife, can tilt the balance between life and death for African American infants and their mothers. Regardless of income and education level, childbirth for Black women is more dangerous than it is for white women. Can you imagine that? Even Serena Williams had a dangerous close call during her pregnancy after doctors failed to heed her request for a CT scan and blood thinner medicine. Despite her history of blood clots, it was posited that Williams's pain medication must be making her confused. The CDC report that African American mothers die at 3 to 4 times the rate of white women, and the mortality rate of Black infants is higher than that of either or other ethnic groups in the US. So we had to ask ourselves why. A 2019 policy blueprint from AmericanProgress.org notes that Racism is part and parcel of the being Black in the United States, and it compromises the health of African American women and their infants. But simply put, structural racism compromises health on a whole. According to David Williams, medical doctor, a pioneer in measuring the effects of racism on health, he says, we now know that discrimination is linked to higher blood pressure, to high levels of inflammation, to low infant birth weight. Enter the midwife. One action that promises to change these dire statistics is expansion of the midwifery movement, especially within the African American community. Right? So Angela Anya, interim director of Black Mamas Matter Alliance, BMMA, recently told an American Public Health Association conference that, and I quote, we have to go beyond just talking about giving people, especially low-income people, access to care. We also need to ask whether the care is high quality or even culturally relevant. Where do Black midwives come into the picture? ProPublica notes how increasing the role of midwifery in the US could reduce maternal complications and mother-infant mortality rates. And I will stop there. Well, let me just do this part and then we move on. Expanding the midwives movement. Another pioneering Black midwife is Shafia Monroe, who has long been one of the major forces behind the Black midwives movement. Monroe, who is the founder of the International Center for Traditional Childbearing and a winner of Lifetime Achievement Award from the Human Rights in Childbirth Foundation, started working with mothers and infants as a nurse's aide in the postpartum ward at the Boston City Hospital at 17. So in 1991, when she encountered difficulties in finding a midwife of color for her own pregnancy, Monroe founded the International Center for Traditional Childbearing. Monroe has worked tirelessly to reduce mortalities linked to pregnancy and to increase the number of Black midwives and doulas. Very profound, very profound, very profound. And we just want to take this time, Jesse, to pay our respects to especially midwives of color. And just to say to you that we definitely applaud you, we laud you, and what it is that you are doing. Definitely there's room for conversation about how low birth rates are linked to racism or colorism and the fears that are associated whenever a woman of color goes into a hospital for childbirth. I think one time we had covered doula dads, and in that particular article that we featured, Jesse, this was where the father was taking responsibility for the birth of his child because of previous incidences that had happened at the hospital with his wife's birth. And so definitely based on what is and based on the facts that we have before us, definitely we want to salute our midwives of colors and of course our nurses as well. Anything to add?
I mean, it's something that I truly am thinking about whenever I'm blessed to have children. That I honestly was like, I was down for water birth unless, and I'll have a nurse and a midwife, and, if something goes wrong, hospital, everything's ready. But I would honestly also prefer just, that water birth in my home or a cleaner area or something like that, because just for safety reasons.
Yes, definitely. And I feel you, Jesse, and I agree with you. So that's it for our wellness. And we have with us this morning Mr. Wilson, who is an attorney at law. Good morning, Mr. Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
All right. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. All right, so we are about to have a conversation about Derek Chauvin's juror possible impeachment. Wow. Something that come to the fore, and we definitely want to know your thoughts on this matter.
Yes,
So,
I do have some thoughts on the matter. Generally, it's this is not uncommon. This type of
mm,
motion for a new trial in most trials, actually, criminal trials, especially high profile criminal trials, in virtually every state,
yes,
there is a motion to uh, even before the verdict, as in this particular case, pre-verdict, to excuse me, um, remove the entire trial, to dismiss the entire trial. Um, in this particular case, Mr. Chauvin had a number of reasons that he filed this motion. And just going back in New York, where I practice, it is very, very common for an oral motion to be made at the end of the trial, which I believe one was made here. It's called a judgment notwithstanding the verdict, or a JNOV. Minnesota probably has something similar to that. And after the oral motion is denied, which it usually is, because the judge is not going to go against what the jury just said, then this type of motion that we see here is going to be um, made. In this motion, you specified as, to disqualify a juror, or some such thing.
mm,
Those kinds of this is a much more broader motion than that. I mean, this motion basically goes back to a lot of the issues that existed prior to the trial. At some particular point, the attorneys for Mr. Chauvin tried to get the case moved out of the county where the murder was had taken place. Again, very common. It was denied. Um, and of course, the jury selection process went through. And now, after the trial, they're coming in, they're just picking their spots as to what they think they may be able to get with respect to the judge. I don't believe, based on my understanding of it, that they will be successful. Um, at one particular point, one of the uh, requests that they made is that the case should be thrown out because the jury was not properly sequestered, and that they were a part of, um, they were too much involved, or they got too much information from the media that probably influenced their decision. I don't believe that they're gonna succeed with that also. But again, I'm not the one making the decision. Um, what is notable, and what you referred to, was the allegation that one of the jurors had attended a Black Lives Matter protest once or twice, or some to that effect. I haven't really
yes,
seen paperwork, and
Mhm.
that is probably the lightning rod in this entire thing. And it brings up the question: does a black attending a Black Lives Matter protest make one prejudiced? And the what I would say is this: I don't know the details of that situation, but
mm,
I would say, since a Black Lives Matter rally is a public rally, and since that juror probably answered some questions, maybe they didn't answer questions about that, but maybe they answered some questions about whether they could be fair and impartial in the case. I don't believe that that is going to be enough to overcome what essentially we all saw. If you did watch it, I watched a bit of the trial, quite a bit of the trial, and was able to see the video and the evidence. So I don't believe he's going to succeed. But let's assume for a moment that he is successful and he gets a new trial. As many are aware, as you all are aware, I would think that on May 7th, 2021, Merrick Garland's Justice Department filed federal charges against Mr. Chauvin.
yes,
And that is really significant, because Mr. Chauvin now, not only does he have a sentencing process that's about to begin um, in for the state of Minnesota, At least that we're gonna get a sentence at some point in the near future. But he's been indicted on federal charges for violating the civil rights of George Floyd, and he's also been indicted by a federal grand jury, by the way. Not only him, but the other 3 officers in that particular case. I don't know if I need to give their names. May not, we'll all know their names at some point. But the focus is on Mr. Chauvin at this point. Excuse me. They have also been indicted for violating the civil rights of Mr. Floyd, and that is really, really significant because even though it's a high standard, given the video, I think there may be some more problems to Mr. Chauvin. Even if he is successful, as I mentioned in this situation in Minnesota, if he's not successful, the indictment is going to go forward. There will be a trial or maybe a plea deal in that situation. And of course, as many listeners may know, the federal government is extremely powerful when it comes to these types of indictments. They've secured a number of sentences and guilty pleas and wins in the civil rights era, from the civil rights era, going back all the way into the 60s, when the federal government had to step in cases where the states either never prosecuted or prosecuted with all white juries. And we're talking about everything from lynchings to outright murder. And so I'm really encouraged by this. And just so all the listeners understand that much of this comes from voting, right? Mm-hmm. The last president, Donald Trump, was in power when George Floyd was murdered. And he declined to get involved in this case, in the Chauvin case. My understanding that there was some sort of plea deal that the federal government had created based on the civil rights, the violation of the civil rights of Mr. Floyd, and the Attorney General, William Barr, refused to sign off on it, refused to get involved, and said, oh, we'll just let the state handle it. And so when we go out and vote or not vote, these are the kind of people that will come into power. But then, meaning Donald Trumps of the world. But then when we do go out and vote, as we did in the most recent election, many of us, maybe some of us who didn't vote before, then we see a Merrick Garland. We see a Joe Biden. These folks aren't perfect, but you see the difference. So now, even if many of us may fear that, oh my God, if the case gets overturned, which I doubt, but if the case gets overturned, he gets a new trial, blah, 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 blah. We can be assured that the federal government is going to step in. And also, with respect to the issue of Mr. Chauvin serving time in Minnesota, in the Minnesota case, and serving time in the federal case, that may be up to the state judge or the federal judge, but generally those cases, those times run concurrent. So if he gets 10 years in state and he gets additional years in federal, he will have to serve all of them unless he comes up with some sort of plea. So I'm encouraged to some extent, as encouraged as I could be. And just in terms of history, folks, the most recent iteration of the federal government getting involved in a case like this was Michael Slager and his murder of Walter Scott, excuse me. As many of you may remember, this was several years ago, back in April 2015, when Michael Slager, a North Carolina white police officer, shot Walter Scott in the back. And it was on video also, very similar in a way to this case, right? And in that particular case, Michael Slager had a trial in North Carolina. Michael Slager was not convicted. He was acquitted in that case because one of the jurors purportedly said, and it was a hung jury, I believe. Purportedly, one of the jurors purportedly said they can't convict an officer, just couldn't do it, right? The federal government filed civil rights charges against Mr. Slager. Subsequently, Mr. Slager didn't even bother to go to trial. He pled guilty, and he's in jail now on a 20-year sentence. So this is how powerful it can get. And we believe that I believe that given the circumstances in this case, especially the video, and as I said, I don't know how much has been talked about the Chauvin case, but the thing that disturbed me, obviously the knee on the neck. I happened to see a lot of the video by watching the trial.
Yes.
And everybody could see for themselves the knee on the neck. And not only the knee on the neck, but after Mr. Floyd stopped moving, not only the continued knee on the neck, but the refusal to follow protocol, give CPR, allow someone else to give CPR, turn the person over. There were all these nuances that I didn't even really know until I watched the trial that Mr. Chauvin made. So, good luck well, I'm not going to say good luck. It's not really, I don't really mean it that way, but he's entitled to his rights as a defendant. I'm a defense counsel when it comes to criminal law. And my practice is very broad. I practice both criminal and civil law, but on the criminal side, I represent defendants, never represented a police officer, but certainly represent defendants. And he's entitled to his day in court. He's entitled to due process. I just don't believe when we're coming down to this particular situation, that he's going to go anywhere with this. But it is interesting. And, we'll see when it comes to juror selection, how it works out in the future. If people who attended Black Lives Matter rallies or people that were involved in any kind of protest will be prejudiced because they attended it and either can't sit on a jury or could be disqualified from the jury after a trial.
Mr. Wilson, just to interject a little bit, and I thank you so much for going down that road, because that is exactly where I was about to go. So if you're just watching, we are discussing the article. We have abc.net that put out an article. Derek Chauvin demands new trial in George Floyd case as juror defends going to rally. And this is Mr. Brandon Mitchell, one of 12 jurors of the case. And he participated in a march to actually honor Martin Luther King Jr. In terms of people of color and sitting on juries, you started to share your thoughts about what possibly could be in the future, hopefully not, but what would you say to, because the point of having a jury is to also have a balanced point of view where the case is concerned. As people of color, do you think, what are your thoughts towards persons who are being asked? Should they be careful now more so, or because the law is one thing in terms of how they may see a person who has gone to a rally or to support something that's Black Lives Movement, for instance, or even a Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration. How should they, what should they be aware of going forward? Do you think they should be aware of anything, or should they just, just continue being true to who they are?
Well, truth is an important factor when it comes to being a juror. The questions, though, that are asked in a jury pool selection, can be challenged, though, right? So I'm not there, in Minnesota. If I'm selecting a jury in New York, I'm not sure I'm asking that question, right? I'm not sure that question is not prejudicial. But if a prospective juror is asked a question, then they should answer it. Have you attended rallies? Yeah. And then at some particular point during the jury selection process, this question always comes up. Can you, or do you believe you can be fair and impartial in your review or your hearing of the facts in this case and make an impartial decision, right? And if that juror says yes to me, prospective juror says yes to me, I'm going to consider that juror. Now, there may be other factors that may, knock that juror out, but that ability to be fair and impartial, and obviously truthful too, right? Truthful is a big part of it. Is going to be a big part. Is going to be relevant. We're living. You're bringing up something, and I unfortunately didn't see that article, but what we're talking about is a very divided society right now. So, Black Lives Matter for some people is like a bunch of racists running around, right? For some people. For other people, Black Lives Matter is a part of the civil rights movement. It's another phase of the civil rights movement based on the levels of brutality, prejudice, racism, all of the things that have basically historically come down the road. So in pretty much in place of riots, for instance, you may have a protest, right? And in one particular bunch, you had riots. So hopefully I've answered your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much. So in closing, we want to thank you so much for being with us today, and also to just share your views on the possible reopening of the case of Derek Chauvin. And we really appreciate you, and we trust that you will come again and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I've been helpful in my commentary.
Yes, you have been.
Take care. Have a good day.
Yes, thank you so much.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right, Jesse. That was Mr. Wilson, and he's an attorney at law, and we just had a conversation about Derek Chauvin demanding new trial in George Floyd case as juror defense going to rally. And he said some pertinent points there, Jesse, about a juror and the role of a juror, and the ability for them to be honest and fair in terms of their judgment in a proceeding, especially I would say a delicate one such as this one.
Yes. When he brought up the topic of, that juror attending a Black Lives Matter protest, I feel like at what point do we have to be mindful, given that the climate that we're in and technology that we have is making a simple social media post? Are they going to go through people's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook and be like, oh, back on this day, you liked or you made a post in regards to Black Lives Matter or some other, issue that's going on in the world? Are they going to hold us accountable of that? Because that's just our own opinion, there's layers to how far is the government really going to go deep in that, because there are cases that they've used social media as part of evidence,
Definitely. And where he also had said the point about who you vote for matters, right? So whoever we put in power definitely is going to have a say as to, where justice is concerned, people of color, especially in the sensitive area of recent conflicts with police and things like that. So it's very important to not just vote randomly, but really pay attention to the values and things like that of the person that you are voting for, definitely. And we want to take it a little bit closer to home, where we had on earlier Lady Lauren Carter, because once you sit and you listen to conversations and you actually see what's being done, and you not just hear her, but you see the activities that she's doing, it helps you to put your power of choice into perspective. And that is extremely, extremely important. He said something to when Donald Trump was in power. That was something he chose to be hands off about, and the question would be why. And now that we have a different leader that's in now, and what he is doing in allowing justice to run its course, it speaks and it says a lot. Definitely.
Yes, it does.
Definitely.
And people judge you, by the character that you have, just even first impressions. So when it comes to, like you said, our own elective officials, we should do our research.
Yes.
And know the ins and outs of them and their policy and the policy details. Because honestly, they're just not people that are, political celebrities. They're people that are serving us. They're serving us. Their job wasn't supposed to serve themselves. It's to serve the people. And we need to elect people that are going to do their job.
Yes, definitely. Definitely inspiring, definitely informative. And we just look forward to see what will be the end or what will become of this petition that has been put forward. Yes. And so now we have with us also this morning Mr. Levy, Mr. Julius J. Levy, who is with us this morning. Jesse, do you want to go ahead and introduce him?
Yes, of course I will. So we have our special guest, Mr. Julius J. Levy. He is host of the award-winning documentary, Our Very Own Locked Up Abroad. Mr. Levy is Jamaican-born, but migrated to the UK in his early 20s, where he studied at the University of Greenwich, London. He worked as a journalist, and he also has a passion for wildlife. He then later migrated to India with his family, where they now reside. And as we all may know now, India is hit extremely hard with C-19 pandemic. And today we will learn as much as we can about him, his migration story, and how he is coming, as it gives us an insider perspective of what is really going on the ground in India today. Good morning, Mr. Levy, at least here in the United States and
Indeed, good morning
Jamaica.
to you.
How are you today?
Very well, thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm so happy for you to be here. So we have, a couple questions for you. First one is, you're now residing in India. Can you tell us what it's like at this time to be a foreigner in India, which is reportedly the first country to record 400,000 daily COVID deaths, according to BBC?
Absolutely. So I have been coming to India since 2018. I've been residing here since 2018, and I am actually based in Mumbai, or what was locally known as Bombay. The situation on the ground here it's very evident that we are in the position that we are in with COVID-19. The popular media outstreams as well will actually make sure that enough coverage is actually done on what the current situation is. However, some of the things that we don't actually see in the media is the pockets of where COVID-19 haven't really hit that hard, or the people who are actually not so much behind the scenes, but certain different areas within, especially Mumbai or even places like Delhi, who have been hit the hardest, that there are still areas there that have steady declines of numbers going down. However, the emphasis is always going to be on where we have that upward trend of COVID-19. From my own perspective, on what I can see here, when I actually listen to other major news outlets like CNN or BBCs or so forth, what you tend to see is a very kind of a shock, horrifying view, especially when they show you bodies burning. Mm-hmm. Now, for us in the Western world, the burning of bodies is not something that is very usual. Here in India, it's a very common thing, because that is how, especially people of Hindu religion, bury their dead. So at any given time, you would see at a burial area or ground, you would see a few bodies burning at any given time. Of course, the COVID situation magnifies that quite a bit, and as such, that being broadcast even more now to the world at large, it looks pretty bad. I mean, the situation is bad, but it can tend to look worse than it really is. If I should take one example, for instance, where I live here in Mumbai, and Mumbai is in the state of Maharashtra, which have got a steady decline right now in numbers, and we will continue to pray for those who are in other states who are actually still seeing an increase. But here in Mumbai, where people have maybe taken more caution, or the state officials have actually taken more measures to lock down a little bit earlier, or more preventative measures, which is they've opened certain areas within certain hours of the day where you can go out and get your essentials, and then they would have locked down those areas again for the most part of the day. In cases like those, life goes on just as normal. We are very aware that there's a pandemic; it's global, and we would take care to follow the rules that they actually have. But nevertheless, these areas here, if you walk around the streets, or if you get outside of your house and you go for your daily walking so you can actually get some vitamin D, or you go for your shopping or otherwise, if someone didn't announce to you that there was a pandemic, you would have just carried on as though nothing was there. So there's those small pockets of hope that is there, and if you take it in the larger context of the population of India, I mean, one death as a result of any pandemic is one death too many. But in a country with the size of 1.3 billion, the number of deaths that we actually have, or the total count of death that we have in India today, count for a very small percentage, 1.6, I believe, if my math is correct. So when you look at it on the larger scale and look at it in context of that, then you would think, well, okay, it's not that it is acceptable, but if you take it per capita and if you look at it in the larger context, you can actually see that the larger the population is, the bigger the numbers will be.
Yeah. I can see from that sentiment as far as when you said the larger population, because when the beginning of the pandemic hit, I was in New York City, and obviously New York City was an epicenter because it's in a city. So I can only imagine a country with 1.3. I think, if I remember correctly, India is the third largest country, I believe. I'm not, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it would be second largest by population size.
Population. Yeah. So I want to take you back a little bit.
Okay.
Can you tell us how you got here after being born in Jamaica? What inspired you to move to not only the UK but to India?
Well, I mean, the primary reasons why people populate, if we should actually not populate rather, but immigrate, if we should start there, is in most cases we tend to look for a more socio-economical standing or advancement in your own life. Again, in other cases, it's curiosity and the need to explore other places. We are born with that inherent trait in us to actually be curious about other countries. Even if you were born in a first world country, curiosity will take you in other places. I mean, we have to look no further than the whole British and Spanish colonialism across the globe, right? It's curiosity that take them over there as well. And in the same token, people of African descent, people of the Caribbean, people of other parts of the world wants to understand what it's like on the other side of the fence, if you know what I mean. So there is that, and of course there's also the pursuit for finding your purpose. That will cause others to actually migrate or to move to the distant part of the world. My purpose was, or my reason for that was my pursuit to go into university at a reputable university in the United Kingdom. So I was more pursuing my purpose at an early age. At a very early age, when I started out in St. Elizabeth in Jamaica, in my first job was washing dishes in a hotel, and proudly as I did that, I understood that wasn't really my purpose. That's not what I really wanted to do. I left from there, myself and the accountant from that hotel, and we started a basic computing school. And these were the days when we had black and white monitors, the days when we have WordPerfect and Lotus 123, and that was many moons ago. And I started out there as a receptionist, if you like, and I learned basic computing to the point where I could teach it, the very next year after completing my studies. And that led me into the love of technology. That led me into the love of business strategy, and also to the love, to a certain degree, of media. I moved on from there and decided that I am going to pursue my further education in the United Kingdom. And as such, it took me to the UK back in the I believe it was 1996 that I actually went to the UK and started pursuing my further education there.
That is awesome. And what inspired? How do you from UK to India now?
So from UK to India it wasn't by accident as such. After I finished university in the United Kingdom, I started pursuing working in the public sector. I worked in education before I actually went to university, but fast forward to the times when I graduated from university, I got my master's degree, and I decided to pursue a career in the software solutions engineer arena, if you like. And I worked for quite a few reputable companies in the United Kingdom, looking at national security at one point as well, and also working closely with the Ministry of Defense and other organizations. Now, throughout my tenure working as a software solutions engineer at the time, I have had a strong connection with India, simply because, medium-sized to larger organizations in the United Kingdom and most parts of the world as well tend to outsource their technology to India. India is very well known for technology. Right. And as such, I've worked with companies that did the same. And after a few job changes as well, I have actually worked for a big pharmaceutical company. And as such, I had a very close connection where some of my teams were actually based in India at that time. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. And because they were based in India, that connection with the India populace, that connection with working with folks in India grew even stronger at that point. And as such, changing to my new role, or my job at the moment, I work for a fintech in London. And as such, I was brought into the business to head up the whole information systems department. And the CEO, coincidentally, is actually from Mumbai here. And we sat down and we plan out what our strategy is and how we're going to actually take the company forward. And that planning led us to the conclusion that the best place to be is to actually build a team here in India. We tried out in London. We started out with a small team in London, but we needed to optimize because we were growing rapidly as a business. And as such, we decided to build a team here in India. And it was very evident it was the unspoken language between us that says you need to be in India as well to be able to actually be nearer to your team, if you like, and to monitor your team better. And that was the whole point of actually coming here and being here in India now.
Awesome. And when you mentioned that I love to travel, and people love to travel to find purpose. First thing that came to mind with India was, Eat, Pray, Love, that book/movie, and people going. And we have a question that came in that I was going to ask. That comment said, "What is it like living in India? The food, the culture, the way of life, the traffic."
Oh, I mean, if there was one word to sum it up, it would have to be absolutely amazing, which is 2 words, but let's concatenate it into 1 word, shall we? It's an amazing journey, actually. I've not regretted a single day being here in India, and I've been to more than 15 countries in the world and lived in more than 4 for any long stretch of time. And it has been absolutely amazing, simply for the fact that I'm coming from Jamaica. The culture is quite similar, actually. We have about 3% of Jamaican population, which is Indian, so of Indian heritage. I have learned, and this is by complete coincidence, I have learned that my grandfather and my mother's side, his grandfather is of Indian descent. And he was one of those Indians that left India back in the 1800s to Jamaica and started a family there as well. So my mom, in want of a better phrase, is half Indian, if you like. And I only realized that later in my years that he was indeed here from Bombay as well. Now, I haven't got a clue of how to track down that genealogy or that family line, but not to say that that's what led me to India, but from before even coming to India, there was some level of connections there. More specifically, the traffic is exactly how they said it is. It's for the largest part of it, when you're in the city of Mumbai, which is huge and very dense, if you like. I mean, one of the largest cities in the world, one of the most dense cities in the world as well, where you have the most beautiful of high-rise buildings and captains of industries and head offices in the same locality or area of where you have the slums, which is your local people going about their business and living their lives, or what in Brazil they would call the favelas, or the ghettos, if you like, as they call them in other parts of the Caribbean. So everyone coexists in that huge melting pot, that ecosystem, and it gives that rich, vibrant nature of what you'd expect India is about. My initial impression of India, when I was gearing up to actually come to India, is that whole romantic feel of India, that romantic feel of their music and their culture. Just one last note to make on the traffic. I always describe it as this: you have one big tarmac, and everyone driving whatever direction you choose. And that is how you can describe the inner part of the city, where you have the people on the tuk-tuks or the rickshaws, and you have local taxis. You have a huge amount of traffic in one small, densely populated area. And if you try dare crossing that road, even when the lights are on red, you have to think twice and about doing that. But in spite of all of that, you don't really go around on a day-to-day basis walking on the street and seeing a lot of accidents. There's a very general common understanding of how the people here communicate, even those who are actually driving. A simple nod of the head or a look of the eye or a shake of the head or something of the sort is giving a level of communication towards us that I've never seen before. And I'm quite observant when it comes to things like those. And there's many different ways from just the verbal way of communicating that they communicate and manage to coexist in this environment. When you can see a highway with hundreds, if not thousands, of cars driving and bikes and other automobiles, and you can see a cow walking along the same highway, and people will pay respect to a cow or a dog or any animals walking across the street. It gives you the sense of, okay, there's a huge amount of respect for life in general, right? And a common understanding that we are here coexisting in this environment, and we need to learn how to coexist effectively. Of course, there is the odd bust up every now and then, but not in the kind of scale that you would expect it to be.
That is great. You have some questions that are coming in and comments, and a question myself. One of you asked, do they have speed limits?
They do, by law. They do have speed limits, but who adhere to them? On the highways, I've been on the highways quite a few times actually, and you do have very modernized, as you would expect in any first world country, as well. You have modernized highways that you can drive across states, and there the speed limits are more restrictive, and people will take care to adhere to the speed limits there more than they would in the inner cities. Again, the population size and the amount of automobiles on the road as well. By default, if your speed limit is 30, the average speed limit that anyone can go, simply because of the sheer size of it, is going to be about 25 anyway. So the chance of you breaking the speed limit is very small.
It's very right. We have some comments that came in that said, I live next door to Indians. The scent of the food is amazing and I can't cook. Another person said, it sounds like an interesting way of life. It really does. And with that, I had a question Fun question, kind of, because you have your heritage of Indian descent, born in Jamaica, lived in the UK. Do you call all of them your home? Is just a piece of you? Is just, or is there one place where you're like, I am home?
Earlier on today when I was sitting down, just kind of meditating, I contemplate this question being asked, where is home? In the general sense of things, home will always be Jamaica. Jamaica will always be home for me. That's the country of my birth, and you have a sense of patriotism towards your country of birth. I have spent more time in the United Kingdom living there than I have in Jamaica, simply by default because of when I left Jamaica at the time to my age now. And I have traveled and lived in other parts of the world. India would have probably been the third or fourth country that I've spent this long period in. And I actually changed my philosophy recently from more, not so much of a more patriotic one that says Jamaica is home. Of course, to my heart, Jamaica will always be home. But I have come to the common understanding recently that home is always going to be where God's purpose for me is. That is where home will be. And, try as we may, it may not be a single geographic location, but if you want it to be in Timbuktu and you need to set up and make that home, he will make it home for you. And I have grown to that philosophy recently, and it's simply because of my experience of the multitude of travels that I've done over the years. And the different cultures that you come across, which of course India is rich in. It's many different multifaceted culture, multifaceted languages as well, and of course the food is out of this world. If you ever have an opportunity to experience it, I would suggest that you do. It is mind-boggling. When I remember when I just came to India, and before I moved into an apartment. As a more permanent living space, I lived in hotels for long periods of time. And, you have food in as much as you possibly can to explore and to eat. And I remember I counted for a month. I tried 28 different dishes in 1 month. And yeah, suffice to say that I had to put the brakes on and said, hang on a second. I can't keep doing this. I'm going to have to start visiting the gym a lot more often. And so I started controlling that and started learning how to cook some of the food that they have here and all of that stuff as well, trying to understand the different cultural meaning behind food, the religious meaning behind food as well, and just the love for a genuine share of food here, which is absolutely amazing. There's so much to say about that point, but I'm sure time won't permit for that.
I know we did have a listener question when it came in with food. If you learned to make any Indian dishes. I mean, one of my naan, I can't do it, but I would. In some chicken tikka masala, I would like. But what's your favorite? If you were to say one.
If I should pick one, I do have a favorite actually. It's a breakfast dish and it's called dosa. Dosa, it's masala dosa. It's absolutely amazing. It's made with a very thin outer crust, and I wouldn't say it is similar to the Jamaican bami, but it is a lot thinner than that, and it's quite flat. Inside of that flat crust, you have, it could be mashed potato, and that is actually mixed with a lot of vegetables, if you like, and your seasonings and stuff like that. So a very seasoned, well baked stuffing inside of that, and that's rolled into what could consider to be a wrap. But dosas are absolutely amazing with coconut or mango chutney, and that's my favorite. And I've been trying to get it perfected, but haven't done that yet. I've managed to cook some things like I've made paratha, I've made naan, buttered naan, or just plain garlic naan. I've made water puff, and I've made a couple of other pieces as well that sometimes the names elude you if you have to look up the Hindi name for it. But yeah, it's been amazing.
So another question came in. How have your beliefs on money, abundance, and wealth been influenced by your travels?
That's a great question. And I would be a hypocrite if I say that wasn't part of the motivation as well. I was offered an opportunity that paid well. It gave me an opportunity as well to expand some more on my skill sets of becoming a leader rather than just a manager. So I manage a team here at the moment, or I lead a team here at the moment of about 32, and the overwhelming amount of skill sets that I've actually learned since coming here and taking on the role of a director has been amazing, and so that's one of the primary reasons. From a pay perspective, we all, when we go to find a job, consider how much you think you're worth, and as a result of which it will motivate you to either remain in the job that you're in or move on. There could be multiple factors. Money can be and is one of those factors for anyone who's going out there looking for a job to work for someone else. That has given me a better appreciation for the use of money. If I could accumulate the most money in the world, I would, simply because I know my intent behind accumulating such money would not just be for my use and my purpose, but it would be for a bigger purpose that is bigger than I am in the first place. So it has had some influence on me, absolutely has. Coming here in India have allowed me to do a lot more than I could ever dreamed of doing if I had actually stayed in the UK, simply from a financial and affordability perspective. And those have been, benefit towards my schools back in Jamaica. My primary school and my high school back in Jamaica have seen the fruits of that labor in by way of, garnishing some of those areas with technology, with bringing laptops and other computers into those schools, but also the general thing of understanding what the needs are in your community and help out those needs. My mother, before she passed away, had I've been a patron in my local area in Jamaica for looking after the elderly and for those who were more marginalized. And I had intended, when she passed away, to carry on that legacy and to build a foundation from that and make it more official. And have been working on that project for some time. But in the meantime, while I'm working on the project, I'm also looking at how can I also make a difference now. The little old man that lives down the road that we know haven't got much family or they don't care too much for him, sometimes a little goes a long way with them. And I remember that, the foundation that my mother and grandmother instilled in me from an early age. My mom used to drive her little old van up some crazy places with the back of it filled with cooked food to go and give it to the elderly folks living in those remote areas and to spend some time with them, to have a conversation. And I have been doing that. And so I am happy for the fact that I could find myself in a position where I could work and earn enough to be able to actually do things like those. That for me is the highlight of actually earning a decent, wage, so I can support my family and also, support the wider family at large. I'm so sorry, but I can't hear you actually.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're back. Yes, you're back.
So I want to say thank you so much for coming on our show. I was really educated. I was inspired. You really painted a picture of India, and, my heart goes out to your family and friends right now in India. I hope you guys please stay safe and you protect them. And I'm praying for everyone in India, everyone around the world during this pandemic. But I want to thank you so much, Julius, for coming on our show. We definitely learned a lot and was definitely inspired. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
Jesse, may I interject?
Yes.
Just because we have questions coming in from Mr. Levy.
You do.
I think we can maybe do like two more.
Two more? Okay.
Let's do the last two. How have you, sir, been impacted by race issues in your travels?
That's a very interesting one. The impact is certainly there, and it's in the Indian culture, it's quite subtle that I have actually experienced that. And so I've not had any verbal discrimination from anyone since I've actually started my journey here in India. But you do stick out, you do stand out. And the most that you will find is sometimes when the odd few may be communicating with each other in their language on the basic understanding that you may not understand Hindi or Marathi or Telugu or whatever language you're actually speaking. And you know, they will say the odd snidey comments and they will laugh at it. Now, one of the things that I would encourage anyone to do is, you know, when you come into countries like these, try and learn at least the basics of the language so you can understand a little bit about how to get around primarily, but it helps you to also to understand how to protect yourself. So I do hear the odd comments of, you know, he must be from Africa, what is he doing here, kind of a, you know, comment. But what they do actually do, and they don't do this very subtly, is stare at you. They will steer you down till the morning. And they're just curious. It's the curiosity of just looking at someone who's different, because for a larger proportion of the population, if, you know, who stick to their local media, stick to Bollywood as a movie and stuff, so most of what they ever seen is Indians. If they do see the odd black person on television every now and then, they've never really seen one close up and in person. So when I take the local rickshaw wallet to work, which is the little 3-wheelers that they have, and try to mingle as much as you can with the locals. And they're so excited to carry you in their Ubers or in their tuk-tuk, because they will tell you as best as they can in their English or in their language that you are the first foreigner, or you're the first person of color, or the first black person that we've ever, you know, traveled with in my car, and I'm going to go home and tell my family. And you go out sometimes and they will stop you and take pictures and say, can I take a picture of you? And, you know, the whole family come together, they take picture, they invite you to their home, they want to cook for you, they want to talk to you to get a little bit of experience of who you are and what life is like outside of India.
That is beautiful. And the last question we have is, how do you cope with being away from family and friends?
It's a difficult one, actually, because it does take you away from your traditional way of life, if you like. I have become accustomed to this because I've been doing it for quite a number of years, traveling across the globe on different projects for different companies. But every time you actually do that, you can feel the impact of that, you know, when you're deep into a few months or a year into your travels. This has impacted quite a bit, actually, because most recently I've had some major tragedies in the family back in Jamaica, and you couldn't really be there to be there for your loved ones. I had you know, one of my older brothers who was, you know, the leader of the family, if you like, and my family is huge, and he passed away from leukemia, not so recent. And he everything that I am, my persona, everything about me, I would say, is as a result of who he is and who he was. You know, the way his love for education, his love for God, his love for all things have somehow trickled down to me, because my mom always say, you must be more like your brother Stephen. You know, she's always saying that, you know, she's always saying, you must be more like your brother Stephen. And that's because they've embedded this thing in you from an early age that, you know, education is key. You need to be sticking close to that. And he was one of the most humble persons I've ever met in my life. So that has a tremendous impact on me, not being there with him in his last days. But again, thanks to technology, you could be as close as you can get over a video call, and to be there with them, to pray with them, and to support them as much as you can. But yeah, it does have an impact. But you know, in the end, as you travel and as you go about your business, far or near, irrespective of where you are, if you don't have that opportunity to go home, you know, the use of technology does support that cause. And of course, it's just a matter of trying the best you can to deal with it in the best way you can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Julius. Like I said, again, first want to say condolences to you and your family in regards to your brother.
Appreciate it.
Truly a blessing to have you on our show today. I mean, questions were coming in. People really loved and connected with you and your story and everything like that. And I hope this is not the end. I hope you will come back to share more stories with us. But thank you so much for being on our show today.
You're most welcome. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Wow. Interesting morning, Jesse. Interesting morning. And so before we even get into our next segment, just want to say hello to Romaine Thomas. We see you. And we also want to say hello to Jacqueline Samuels over there in Canada. We see you. And to everyone that's watching, thank you so much for sticking and staying with us. It's now time for our community support feature because of you, we can. So philanthropy is important because it provides opportunities. Philanthropy supports projects and endeavors that may be too unpopular or controversial to gain widespread support for the general public or even the government. For this reason, philanthropy is a very important part of a democratic society. We have in studio today a representative from the charitable organization Woman You Can, Ms. Nordia Henry. The organization is currently undertaking a project to provide sanitary napkins to girls in rural Jamaica. So Nordia Henry is a certified addiction counselor with the National Council of Drug Abuse with over 12 years of experience. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Management and international training and certification in drug and violence prevention and treatment. She lives by the mantra, I can do all things through Christ. Hello, Miss Henry. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We realize that you've been listening in for a while. Thank you for coming.
It was very interesting. I really enjoyed that interview just now.
Wasn't
Thank you
it?
so much
I
for having
know.
me. It was very good. Yes.
An awesome segment. Okay, so just to let our viewers know a little bit more about the project that you're currently embarking on. So, the Sanitary Napkins Drive is an ongoing bid to end poverty in Jamaica. What a type of poverty, too. We are surprised at the number of persons in the island who were unable to afford the sanitary napkins on a monthly basis, especially school age girls who had been missing school when they had their monthly flow. So this project is aimed at distribution to junior high and high school students across the island. And we know you're going to tell us a little bit more about that. First of all, thank you so much for this mission. Not only is it commendable, but from experience, it truly is a relief, right? So sanitary napkins, they're necessary. And the truth is that it hurts to even think that there are girls out there who do not have adequate supply for use, especially in 2021. What has been the uptake of this outreach?
Let me tell you, we've been getting some tremendous feedback. It's been incredible the way people have just come on board and supported our initiative. It's something that wasn't planned. It's something that we just started because we are social workers, those of us who are part of Woman You Can, and we come across young girls very frequently who have this issue, not going to school because they're not able to afford a pack of sanitary napkins. And we have this ongoing debate. Here in Jamaica, if you go to the clinic, you can get a condom. They're distributed all over. And the question is, why are condoms free when sex is a choice? And I mean, this could be relative, but it's a choice, but your monthly cycle is not a choice. So why is it that we're not doing something to provide for the girls who are unable to afford these sanitary napkins? So the uptake has been incredible. We have sponsors from France, from Canada, from the UK, here in Jamaica, our locals have come on board, and it has been an amazing response so far. So we really appreciate the fact that people are coming on board and people are assisting with this initiative. It's really, really a necessary initiative.
Thank you so much for that. I know we have some pictures that we're going to go through throughout the interview, just to kind of see what you have been doing. But tell us, can you give us an insight into some stories about the lives of these girls that you're trying to help?
All right, so it's where do I begin? As I said, I can speak from my perspective as a social worker. I'm an addiction counselor, and so I meet people from all walks of life, from different socioeconomic backgrounds and statuses. And we do have some of our girls who they really don't have any support, whether it be family support or school support. Especially in this pandemic, a lot of them are home and not able to go out on a regular basis. There are young girls who are currently still, I know back in the day, my grandmother, before sanitary napkins were a thing, would, use the washcloths and then wash them and pin them out on the line and stuff like that. In this day and age, we still have communities where girls are still doing this.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that is why we have embarked on this initiative. So some of the persons that we get are persons who are really from very low, poor backgrounds, poor socioeconomic backgrounds, really just cannot sometimes afford a meal for the day, much more a sanitary napkin. Interestingly, I was doing a session the other night, and I was talking about this initiative, and one young lady said to me, but Miss, where I live, it's very difficult to find fare to go to the clinic, which is about 20 miles from where I live, to go get a pack of pads. So, I mean, while your initiative is great, how do I benefit? So we have persons in some communities that are so rural where, I mean, in this day and age, it's difficult for them to find taxis or taxi fare to come to the locations where we are. And so what we're trying to do is to take the initiative to them. It's a uphill, it's a hard task, but it's doable. And we're doing it. So interestingly, yesterday we were out doing some community outreach, not under the Woman You Can umbrella, but as social workers. And we decided that, hey, we're going to just take some of these sanitary napkins and distribute them. And you would be amazed at the amount of people that were so grateful. Like, oh my miss, can I have 2? We went with, I think, 2 boxes and we didn't come back with any. It was really interesting to see.
Wow, very commendable. And that's actually coming from our comment section. I have a question, but before that, I'm going to take some comments. We have Coach Raquel in the comments, and she's saying the monthly cycle does not affect the country's economy, or so it seems, perhaps, but unplanned pregnancies do. And we have another one that says economic empowerment seems lacking. Is that an issue that your beneficiaries face?
Yes, I would say it is. One of the things that we are trying to do as Women You Can, separate and apart from our ending period poverty campaign, is to do empowerment, because a lot of our young girls are demotivated, they don't have skills, and so they can't earn a living. And so yes, that is something that they do face. And so when we do our empowerment sessions, what we're really trying to do is to empower young ladies and women to say, hey, you can achieve anything you put your mind to. And we're currently in the process of, revamping our programs to see how best we can assist. As social workers, we try to do referrals and link them to institutes like the Heart Trust, which is a training institute that will get them into skills training that they will eventually be able to earn a living. But it is a serious challenge, particularly for our young people in the rural areas. So yes.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Tell us how. I know we know that you're a social worker. You stated that before, but how does this hit home close to you? What gave you the drive to really get involved? Because I know, in your information, drug addict counselor, and know you're deeply involved in this campaign. How did you get involved in this aspect of it?
All right. So first of all, our founder, Mrs. Sasha Gay Grizzle Dixon, is a very close friend of mine. Colleague, yes, but also my very good friend. And this is something that she was very passionate about. So this kind of all started last year around March, when the pandemic started and we were sent home to work from home. And we as women were there feeling like, oh my God, how are we going to get through this? What are we going to do? And, it just sparked something like, if we who are employed, if we who are empowered women are feeling this way, how is it that other women who are not in the same position as we are feeling. So it wasn't a hard sell. It wasn't hard for me to get involved at all. Being a social worker, I see all the social ills. I see the reasons why people use substance abuse. I see all of the domestic violence. I see a lot of the social ills that are out there. And so getting involved in an initiative like this is really, it's really not difficult. I really don't, well, first of all, my job doesn't feel like work for me. It's something that I truly love and enjoy. And so this is not hard at all. I believe this is us fulfilling our purpose, because it's not just about earning the dollar. It is really about helping people. It's really about reaching out to others. And even if you are struggling, you have a little that you can pour into somebody else.
Well, it sounds like you're definitely operating in purpose. And I think that's something that we should all strive to do. All right, so we have another listener question coming in, and we have some more questions in the comment. Let me take this one first. Oh, wow, they're coming in. What kind of economic program do you recommend that these girls would gravitate towards in order to apply themselves with support to change their economic circumstances?
All right, first of all, I am not recommending any one particular program to anybody. We're all different. We all have a passion for something. We all have different skills. And so what I recommend and what I encourage is find what you are good at, find what you love, and turn it into money. We are currently on an initiative at the Marcus Garvey Youth Center, where I'm based, where we're encouraging young people to tap into their own potential. So if you're good at comedy, go and go make a couple TikTok videos and post them and see if you can get followers and start earn some money from it. If you're good with your hands, use your hands. Whatever it is that you're good at, we will help you to build on those skills. We will do the necessary training that is necessary with you. We will point you in the right direction with the referrals, but do not limit yourself to any one particular field or area. Find what you're good at, use what you love, and earn from it. I believe that if you're doing what you love, you will not work a day in your life. That's what I believe.
Awesome, awesome. And I see in the comments, Miss Jody Holgate saying good morning. I know that she is your contact person for the parish of Portland.
Yes, morning, Jody.
Jody, and thank you for your support. If you are just joining us, you are inside Weekends with Marsha J and Jesse. My name is Marsha J, and we are inside the segment Because of You We Can, and we are speaking with the Woman You Can movement, charity movement, and we are speaking with Miss Henry, and we have some more questions coming in, Miss Henry, so let me just go to them. Okay, do you feel that through this, the laws for women's rights in Jamaica will change?
Where did you go?
I think she is frozen, Jesse. But I think this is such a really good initiative.
I think Marsha is, I didn't catch her question.
Okay, let me go again.
I lost you, yes.
Okay, I understand. All right, we have Jackie Samuels, and she's saying, great initiative supporting young ladies in such vulnerable situations. I can see your passion for what you do. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right. And we have a question coming in. Do you feel that through the laws for women's rights in Jamaica will change?
Well, we would love to see that. So we are not just philanthropists who are out there trying to help people. We're also advocates. So anything that will bring a positive change as it relates to women's rights and women's movement, yes, we will support. And so we're advocating for those changes to take place.
All right. We have Jay's post, and she's saying, very relating. I admire your selfless work. This is such an amazing thing that you're doing for these young ladies. I will be trying to see if I can get my company in the US to contribute.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You are truly motivation. All right. And we're going to be getting into how persons can connect with Woman You Can and reaching out. But let's go through the questions first. Are we, and this is from Coach, are we ready to invest in change though? Or are we waiting for miracles or others to fix our problems? Very
Well, I
interesting.
think that's kind of what we're doing, is investing in change, because while I do believe in miracles, I also believe that the Lord helps those who help themselves. So we have to get up and go out there and put in the work. It is a challenging thing that we're taking on. It's not. Sometimes our time is limited because we have to make a living for our families as well. But we are willing to go out there and put in the work. We're willing to do what is necessary. So we can't just fold our hands and wait for a miracle or pray for a miracle. We are out there, we're working, and we are doing what we can to empower our young women and our ladies of Jamaica. And hopefully we will take it much further than that.
Thank you so much, Nardia. And so in closing, tell us, how can we support Women You Can in this movement?
All right. So for right now, our initiative is really just that we are on the campaign to end period poverty. And so we're asking persons who want to contribute, you can send us an email. My email is nordia.henry@womanyoucan.com. Mrs. Dixon is sasha.dixon@womanyoucan.com. You can reach us by telephone, via WhatsApp, or direct call. My number is 876-564-7645. Sasha may be reached at 876-396-9436. So you can reach out to us via WhatsApp. You can send us an email and we will respond. I know people have been, we've been taking donations directly through LASCO. So you can send your contributions and state how many packs of sanitary napkins you're paying for, and we can pick up from LASCO. But if you send us an email, we will give you further details as to how that can be done.
Yes, and we will have that information once persons are inquiring, whether in the comments or drop us a line here at UME Radio. You can go on our website and you can plug the information in. Should you desire to support Women You Can, because I know, Ms. Henry, that we have persons that are watching in over 70 odd countries right now, so they may not know who LASCO is, and we'll be more than willing to support you where this is concerned. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Miss Henry, a representative from the Women You Can charity movement, as they strive to end period poverty. Wow, in 2021, Jesse, we're still having issues, and it's very serious. And she said something significant. How is it that health services can say condoms are free when sex is optional, but when it comes to a woman's monthly cycle, that's not optional? They're unable to access resources like these. Critical.
It's very, very true. It is critical. I know even in other countries that are blessed to have it, there's taxes on women, like special taxes on women's, sanitary objects, and it's just we didn't choose this. God made us this way for reasons, but I'm pretty sure if men had, special, I mean, they're special in a different way, but if men were going through different things, they'd probably be like, oh, this is fine. We don't need extra this, we don't need to help, So this is truly an important cause to be a part of. And I feel this not even just in Jamaica, but around the world.
That's critical. And you said something important about the taxes, but we know that we are striving for change, and change happens. Rome wasn't built in a day, but we'll continue to do our best to advocate for cases and situations like these. I know that it has been tendered before, especially in the Jamaican Parliament, about taxes on sanitary napkins, but we can take that up as a topic some other time. But that's very important and something not to be forgotten. And with that being said, we are going over to our talent segment. We're diving into our special talent showcase feature with nominee for the 2021 Juno Awards, Miss Shauna Kane, yes. All right. So, what started as the RPM Gold Leaf Awards in 1964 by RPM editor and publisher Walt Grills and record label executive Stan Cleese soon became the Juno Awards in 1971, named in tribute to Pierre Junio, the first chairperson of the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, CRTC. The Juno Awards were founded to raise public profile and recognition of musical acts in Canada, right? So the Juno Awards has evolved from an industry awards event to a week-long festival that travels city to city across the country. It encompasses both public-facing fans events and industry/networking opportunities featuring a diverse array of Canadian artists and emerging talent. In addition to the Juno Awards broadcast, the Juno Week event programming includes Juno Songwriters Circles, Juno Fest, Juno Fan Base, Juno Cup, and you can learn more about that at junooawards.ca. Today we have with us Miss Shauna Kane. She is a singer, songwriter from Brampton, Ontario, who has released her debut EP, The Way, on October 2nd, 2020. Now, Shauna writes original music that is infused with R&B, trap, jazz, hip hop, and reggae styles with a message from above. Her music is based on her personal walk within her faith, interactions with people, life lessons, and experiences throughout her journey in life. Shauna is driven by truth, and her main focus is to promote the call to action to renew the mind. Her main objective is to promote living in purpose and help people gain strength to overcome challenges. She does this by creating music that reveals a source which will aid in refining the mental perspective. Good morning, Miss Kane, and welcome to our program. How are you? I think you are muted. You may need to unmute.
Sorry. Good morning, Marsha and Jesse. Thank you guys so much for having me today. I'm just so honored to be a part of it. Thank you guys for what you guys are doing. And just the previous segments were just so educational and amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that's our aim to empower. But it's really cool to have you here, a little celebrity on the show this morning, Jay. We're so honored to have you, and congratulations on your award nominations. It's a big deal.
Thank you so much.
All right. So, can you tell us about your roots and why this nomination is so significant?
Yes. So, my music journey has been, it's truly supernatural. It's been an amazing journey. My parents are from Jamaica and Guyana, and I was born in Canada. And just having so many dynamics of the Caribbean culture, the Canadian culture, the American culture, I just always grew up having such a a love for music, such an emotional attachment to music. And growing up, I never really thought that I would want to sing publicly because I was so shy. But after just having an encounter with God really changed my life. And he said to me that I want to show you who you really are. And the thing is, when we allow God to take that role in our lives, he begins to show us even more of ourselves than we thought was ever inside of us. So the music really comes from that place and really just expressing what God impresses on my heart, and just going all for it, and for the youth and for everyone who needs to hear this message.
That's awesome. Tell us, who was your music created for?
Yeah, my music was created for especially young women. I believe that the things that we go through prepare us to help people who are going to be going through the same things. So, especially for me, I believe my music is for young women who are dealing with identity issues or not sure who they are, and they may be doing things that are not in the identity that God has for them. And definitely my music is for the young adults, the youth, and for adults as well, to inspire people My dad, my family were praying for me for a long time when I wasn't in a right mind. I wasn't ready to do these things. And just to see how what a big change can occur when you know who you are. So my music is for the people that want to know who they are and who already know who they are, but they want to expand it more and they want that motivation.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Let's go over to the comments to see what's going on. Over there, we have Sharon Roark. Hi, Shaw. Great to see you. Your talent is absolutely amazing. And we have Coach Raquel, and she says, inspiring woman of God. And of course, we have another one that says, we definitely celebrate divine purpose investors. Thank you so much for sharing your music career journey and who your music was created for. What do you want your audience to feel when they listen to your music?
I love this question. It just makes me happy. But I really want the audience to feel, I want them to see themselves. I want them to feel their own experience when they're listening to the music. I really desire for them to understand who they are when they're listening to the music. So it's invoking internal questions, it's invoking this thought process within them. So it's all about the person who's listening.
Yes. Wow. Awesome. What is the pinnacle of success for you? Where do you want your career to soar to?
Wow. I really would love the career to get to a place where the music, my mission is to create so much music where people have an abundance of options of music to listen to, where they don't even have to listen to music that is not speaking life or beneficial to who they are as a person.
Mhm.
So I just want to create so much music, collab with people where on the radio we have this music, we have gospel music everywhere. And in a sense where it might not sound like um, the regular gospel music that people are used to, but they are getting life from listening to this music. And I just want to travel and be able to meet so many different people and just speak into people's lives. So it's really about the impact. That's what I see as success: the impact and fulfilling your purpose.
That's powerful. Thank you for that. Who do you admire in the music industry and what is your motivation?
Wow, I admire Kirk Franklin. So many artists right now, but definitely Kirk Franklin. Just growing up and hearing his music, how he integrated hip hop and gospel music, how he made people dance and get up, and he really shook the core of what we envision gospel music is. And I'm sure there's so many other artists as well, but just for me personally, he definitely stands out to me. And just to see that people may not want to hear Bible, 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 but I've always heard this quote that you could be the Bible that someone reads. Your life is the
Mm.
Bible. So it's like to be that is inspiring. And yeah, there's so many artists, but definitely I would point out Kirk Franklin.
All right. So we have a listener question coming in as well. It says, what song on your EP resonates with you the most? Where was this song birthed from on your journey?
Wow. These are good questions. So I would say so many. I would say um let's say I would say Worldly Love really resonates with me. All of them do, but Worldly Love is a song that's really about seeing the difference of loving things in the world versus having a relationship with your creator, and just understanding the difference of how love is manifested in those two different ways, and seeing that everything here, we can love these things, but we need to love something that is lasting. Even with this, the virus and everything, it really showed us that we can't really rely on the things that we think are stable. We really have to rely on developing ourselves, spending time with family, and sowing those type of seeds. So Worldly Love is really connects with me, especially in this time, to show that, man, we got to know what we're loving and what will be the result of where we store our love.
That's a powerful message. What lessons have you learned during this whole journey that you would want to pass on?
I would love to pass on the lesson of being still and taking the time to get to know yourself.
Mm.
In this time, we're taught so much, even as kids, we are bombarded with so much information, which is good. We have school, we have all of these things, and we're really conditioned to try to be something else. Like our whole childhood is to be this person who you want to be, which is great. But I would also like to set an importance of getting to know yourself, because once you know yourself, you'll begin to know what you want to do. You'll begin to know your purpose. So if we focus on who am I and who do I want to develop into be, that will help us in the long run, rather than chasing the thing at the end and then coming to a conclusion of, I don't even know who I am. So
Mm.
just identity is so, so important.
Thank you so much for that. And well, into the comments. Let me just go to the comments real quick. We need this on UME radio, please. So, of course, my special request. Now, all of your music needs to be on UME radio. Officially putting that out there. But yes, Shauna has sent in her music, guys, and we will definitely be playing it on UME radio. Thank you so much for that. Shauna, how can we support you? Not just the competition one and generally.
Yeah, so for the Juno Awards, thank you guys so much. This it's not a public vote, but you guys, I would love for you guys to just keep me in your prayers, keep me in your heart for this. I think it's such an amazing nomination, and especially the fact that this is for my first project, which came out in October, and it only had a few months to really get in the draw of this prize, or this the Juno Award. So it's this win, this nomination shows that this music is supernatural. It's beyond me. So it's bigger than me at this point, and it just shows that anything is really possible when we step into who we are and get to understand things. And definitely, you guys can support me by checking out my YouTube page, which is Shauna Kane, Spotify, Apple Music, all of the streaming platforms. You will see Shauna Kane there, and you'll see all the music, because streaming is important as well for an artist. And also following me on Instagram and commenting and just interacting. I love talking to people and really love getting to know people's story. So that's definitely support. I also have some merch, some clothing items out. And if you visit my website, shaunakane.com, at the top, yeah, thank you so much. At the top, you can see the merch there, and you guys can purchase some merchandise and see what you like. We just love to speak life through everything. So thank you guys.
Yes, and thank you too for being in purpose and for being intentional about the message that you bring. You hit some very important points today about identity and all of that. I'm going to go through the comments again real quick because you are on fire this morning. Congratulations, Coach Raquel says. Congratulations, you're Jamaican. We always shine, and it's divine purpose. God is definitely all over it. And a regular expected question in this segment came in just now, and it says, "Can you sing a song for us, please?"
Definitely, I'll sing a song. I'm just gonna sing "None Like You," which is the first song on my EP. So I'll just sing a short little rendition of it. So I just need to worship you, creator of the sun, star, moon. Keep up the heart, it's true, yeah. You makes all things brand new. I donate King of Righteousness. Yeah, we forever exist. Elohim, my strength and peace. Jesus, you're the one we need. Yeah. Jesus, you're the one we need. Jesus, you're the one we need. 'Cause there is none like, none like, none like you. Just a little clip.
Thank you so much. We have a comment here. Beautiful voice, so proud of you. And that is the truth.
Thank
Shauna,
you,
thank you
guys.
so much for being with us this morning on Weekends with Marsha J and Jesse. Absolutely phenomenal woman of color, Jamaican person of faith, and so much more. And listeners, viewers, wherever you are watching, listening from, remember to jump on over to her website, support her. support. And definitely, as a station that empowers people of color, we definitely want to make sure that each and every person that we bring on each and every week, and this week we have Shauna, you're going to walk over to her website and you will support her. Get her merch, get her music, and just dive right into her ministry. Shauna, thank you so much for being with us this morning, and we look forward to having you again.
Thank you so much, Marsha and Jesse. You guys have a great day, and thank you for what you're doing.
You too. Thank you so much for being here. Jesse, amazing
I
morning.
love her. That I wanted to put in the
Yes.
comment. I just followed her on Spotify. After we get off,
Ooh,
I'll follow her on IG. Like her voice is so resonating, and what she said with using not just gospel music but also different genres of music, hip hop, reggae, jazz. I feel like people have this
fusion, yeah.
connotation of like gospel has to sound this way, and I'm just like, honestly, especially as a young person, I didn't like hymns. When my mom was, doing hymns and cleaning, when she put on Mary Mary or Kurt Franklin, that was what got me, So I'm so excited for her.
Yes, definitely. And this is going to lead us into our next place, because every week, as long as you are a faithful Weekends fan, that
Yeah,
we do this every week. It's that time of the morning, guys. That
it
time of
is.
evening for our DJ Top 5 song playlist, where you get to vote. And we hope you have been voting. So,
Yep.
Jesse, let's start with you. Oh, first, before we get to what songs we have on our playlist this week, because it is a virtual battle between Jesse, myself, DJ KTE, Lady Misty, and DJ
Jake
Kelly.
Kelly.
And let's just tell them first where to go and vote.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
You're going to go on umeradio.com/DJ Top 5, and it's right there. Right
Definitely.
there. You do your 5 stars, and you pick which DJ you want to vote for.
And we know which DJ you're gonna vote for. Take the time right now to vote, guys, because our
Thank
playlist changes like every single week.
Yeah.
And so this is the end of another week. So Jesse, let me know what's on your playlist this week.
All right, so bear with me. My allergies are kicking in. If you guys heard my sneeze, so if I sound a bit, sorry. But first up is a awesome gospel artist out of the UK called Rachel Kerr. I don't know if you guys heard of her. She is one that I truly believe has been slept on. I've been following her for years. And 2 songs by her that are on my list. One is called Alive, and the other is called Glory. And Alive starts off this playlist of just being thankful and ready that you're alive. And it's such an upbeat song, and Glory brings it a little bit down, but just when you're looking for that presence of God and having that glory and surrounding you, that song is absolutely it. Third up, I have Perfect God by KJ Scriven. And if you don't know him, if you haven't heard his music, Perfect God, it is he is another up and coming new gospel artist that I absolutely love. And especially I love the video of it, where you have these amazing gospel singers of women of color, and he's in a field, and it's just so natural, the shots and the lighting, and it really emulates how perfect God is and a perfect God that we serve. And fourth, I have Man of Your Word by Chandler Moore and KJ again. And this one is basically holding God to his word. We read his word, and it's such an upbeat, powerful song to know that he does not return void, that he keeps all of his promises. And sometimes you need that song to really remind you, like, you're a man of your word, God. I believe it. If I speak it, it is given. You said it. It is going to happen. And this song really does really push you and ground that message into you. And last but not least, I Won't Go Back by William McDowell. And you guys I think you guys should know this song.
Yes.
I won't go back, can't go back, that one. So yeah, that's on my top 5, guys. It's an instant vote for Jesse right there. Instant vote.
Well, I kind of like your list, and I don't want to like your list too much, just saying. Just saying.
Mhm.
But people may wonder why it is that we have the DJ Top 5 playlist. But let me say that music is such a powerful tool. It's so powerful sometimes that even in medicine, there's like music therapy and things like that. And especially during this time and season where we have a lot going on as the world, not even as people of color, but the world, sometimes it's good to hear sounds that will really put our minds in another place, because it's really how stable or not your mind is most times that will get you through a particular situation. For instance, and I'm about to go into my DJ top 5 list for today. This morning, guys, it was such a heavy morning for me, and a lot was happening behind the scenes, and so the first song on my list is Atmosphere Shift, and I had to just take a minute, whisper a word of prayer, and go within myself and just kind of remember the words, the power of words, the power of thinking, and how God can intervene in um every single moment if you will just allow him. So the first song I have on my list today is Atmosphere Shift by Phil Thompson, wonderful praise and worship leader. Then I have Torrin Wells with Hills and Valleys. Oh, such a powerful song. If you are going through something, just know that he is not just God of all the times when things are going extremely well, but also when things are not going as well as you would plan. Because sometimes, even when you put every single thing in place, Jesse, something
Yeah.
still goes sideways, and it's important to note that God is still there with you, whether it's hills or valleys. I'm going over to the comments. We have Coach says, add Shauna to your top 5. Definitely, we will do that, Coach. Shelly and Richards from Michigan, good morning. She says, love the list.
Thank
Coach,
you, Shelly.
she's with us every single week. Shout
Yeah,
out
she
to
is.
Michigan. Yes, God. All right. And we have Coach says, yes, God is at work in all we go through. And definitely another comment says, love hills and valleys, always uplifting. And so, with that being said, third on my list this week is Prove Me. Prove Me. And this particular song is really a prayer to God, saying, you know what, God, I'm in this. I'm going all the way. Just prove me. Just put me through the fire. Put whatever you need to put me through. I'm yours, and you will see it through the test. We have Apostle Faith Walters chiming in this morning. She says, good morning, ladies. A powerful and exciting morning to you. Greetings, Apostle. Thank you so much for coming out each and every Saturday. Shout out to Mount Vernon, New York. God bless you. And then we have Elevation Worship with Wait on You. How many of us are going through things and we feel like waiting on God it makes us a bit nervous. Sometimes it makes us uneasy, because sometimes standing still and awaiting manifestation is something that we may not find it easier to do. But this song really invites you to worship and to really focus on waiting on God. And guys, remember, waiting on God also means that you serve while you are awaiting whatever it is that you're waiting on the Lord for. And finally, taking it back to my own home country, we have Kevin Downswell live with Good News. Something that will make you smile. And that's a powerful song. Remember, you can always go back and listen to our choices, our weekly choices on our website, www.umeradio.com/DJ top 5. And you can take your own time, listen to these songs, and these songs eventually come back on our radio station. So if you have not downloaded the app, guys, if you're on the go like me and always having somewhere to go and to download the app, and you have the opportunity to listen to these songs and also to check out our DJ Top 5 playlist. Definitely, once you are on the website, let me open this screen a little bit bigger so I can tell you what is on it. Vote for your favorite DJ playlist. It's going to ask you which of the Yumi Radio's DJ Top 5 picks are your favorite, and you can go ahead and you can select your DJ, and right under that, you will have how would you rate the overall experience with us, and you can always give us a 5-star rating. Should I say that loud? I'm just saying 5-star rating.
5 stars.
And that's it for our DJ Top 5 song playlist this morning. We trust it was a blessing to you. Music is extremely powerful. All right. And now we're going to dive into our travel culture segment. Let me pause, Jesse, because I have an admission to make before we get into this segment. I told myself that I will not be traveling this year, right? So, lo and behold, I had a friend who said to me, you know what? Come to New York. So I'll be coming to New York very soon. And so, with that being said, there's quite a bit of preparation that needs to take place. And for those of you who are watching last week, of course, you would know that I'm currently taking you with me on my journey to New York, and I am currently in prepping mode, and I am learning so much about how travel has changed since the pandemic, ah, and it became a force. So here's what my travel checklist entails, right? And so there's a picture on the screen. Definitely, I'm traveling to New York. I want to share a story that a source submitted to UMERADIO. Apparently, there is a sudden death in their family. So, due to her husband's death, the wife has taken ill and needs round the clock care. Her family members living in Jamaica are seeking to visit the US to help. However, the earliest visa appointment that they can get is June 10, bearing in mind that the funeral for the husband, the late husband, is next week, Friday, May 14th. Right? Because we got the story late, we were not able to reach out to the embassy as we want to give them a fair chance to have a conversation with us. However, we will try to connect with them on the upcoming episode that we have for Weekends with Marsha J and Jesse to see if we can get an insight into what may be causing the delay. So in this report, I want to backtrack a little further, is that the late husband and his wife, they were in Jamaica prior to his death, and they came to Jamaica in April because the sister of the wife had fallen ill and she had died. So they were here for 3 days, and then when they left Jamaica, 4 days after that, unfortunately, the husband, who is an electrician, accidentally got electrocuted and died. And so there was a petition because you may apply from the sister that's in Jamaica. She wanted to apply for an emergency visa to go up and support her other sister, who now, because of a double grief, she came to Jamaica because her sister died. She went back up, and her husband now is dead. She is now hospitalized and needs serious care. In order to apply for an emergency visa in Jamaica, you have to go through an entire process, online process, but a process nonetheless. Make your payments, and then you would be able to make a petition for an emergency visa. Bear in mind that the information says that the earliest date is June 10. The funeral is May 14th, right? So at this time in Jamaica, the embassy they're not granting any visas currently. So unless you have an existing visa or you have a scenario where the emergency visa applied for to them, it's critical and it's really needing that you leave Jamaica, they will not be granting it. So the person went through the entire process, paid her money and everything, did the petition for the emergency visa because this is her first time traveling. And we're going to get to what's on the screen in a minute.
Yes, hi, Marsha. It's really nice to hear the story of the person's experiencing. But I think, especially based on time, we could just wait until next week so the embassy can speak it for themselves.
Yes, thank you so
Until
much
we
for
have
that.
an official report. Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for that. So we'll be hearing more about that next week because of time. Thank you so much, producer. All right. So that aside, should you be traveling this year, here are some tips that you should bear in mind. All right. What to do? Well, let's start with what to bring. Once you're on your way to the airport, and this could be domestic or international, it applies nonetheless. All right. So make sure that you have your passport. We have heard stories of persons who have left their passport, government issued ID, just enough cash, or most airports do non-cash. You have to have a debit card, a debit or credit card. Make sure you have that with you. A mobile phone and a power bank. Very important. What to wear, because you definitely will be coming across a search. Comfortable outfit, easy slip-on shoes, a light sweater. Always check the weather. I will say that. And avoid belts, boots, heavy coats, hats, chains, and jewelry. And then lastly, we're going to go to what to do. Be early for the airport. Be at least 2 hours to 3 hours early for the airport. Watch your bags when you're at the airport. Avoid changing money and flashing large amounts of money at the airport. Take a photo of your luggage before traveling or mark your luggage. Make extra copies of your passport and important documents, and place a copy of your contact information inside your checked bags. And of course, it may be a bit hectic, so just stay calm and breathe. And so those are our traveling tips for this year. So join us next week inside this segment for some more information pertaining to travel. All right. And so finally, we are going to wrap up with a very interesting game. And this game is called Categories. So you can join us and let us know. Get your pens and paper out, or if you're using your digital device, get that out, get a blank segment. And with this game, you see the letter S. And once the timer has begun, you are going to write as many answers that will begin with the letter S. So, are we ready?
Yep, yep.
All right, let's go. All right. So please remember, with this particular game, you can be as creative as you want to, as long as it's valid.
Yeah.
So And so our scorekeeper and timekeeper, let us know in the comments how much out of the 12 did you get? Jesse, did you get all 12?
I got all 12. We'll see how I did. I did a bit more than 12, I think, but we'll see.
How can you get more than, listen, every week you do this, girl. How can you get more than 12 when there are only 12 questions? 12
Well, I
questions.
didn't know if I had to do multiple of each, so I was just like,
Wow. You are just the most. You are just the most. All right, so I'll let you go first, and
okay.
you can go ahead.
I was kind of creative. So things that are round, I put sausage cut up and cut up the sausage. They're round, so that's my thing. Crime, I put stealing. Footwear, I put sneakers. Things you could get tickets for. I don't know. I put like snow resorts, like when people go to. I don't know what you call it. Like I don't know. I don't do that, but when people do that. Kinds of soup. Spinach. I don't think it counts. I don't know why spinach came to my head. Things people can have: shoes, socks. Things that are sticky. I put syrup. Personality traits. Okay, this one was got me. I put selfish, stubborn, stingy. I think scary could be a personality trait. Some people are just scary.
Okay.
Spices, salt and sugar. Something you keep hidden. Oh, I missed that one. I totally missed that one. Movie titles, Something's Got to Give. And then famous duos or trios, I put the Supremes.
Wow, you got a lot. I don't think I got that much. All right, so for me, and guys, let us know in the comments how many out of the 12 you have gotten so far. But I forgot to mention, one of the rule is if our answers overlap, then that's a minus point.
What?
Right? So, all right. So things that are around one, and I'm looking at the screen for the questions. I have shoe, crimes. I have stealing, right? 3 footwear. I have sneakers, just like you. And 4 things you get tickets for. I have a singing concert. That's me being creative. 5 kinds of soup. There is actually a soup called sour soup. So yes. And 6 titles people can have. I have sergeant. 7 things that are sticky. I have stickers. Stickers are sticky. Personality type. I have sanguine. So if you're a science major, you know what that is. Spices and herbs. I have salt. Something to keep hidden. Secrets. Secrets. Right? Movie titles. I have Snoopy. And what is that? Snoopy is a cartoon, but you know they have the movie versions of cartoon. Snoopy.
But he's a cartoon like Charlie Brown. Like I guess.
Right.
Okay, that counts. That counts.
All right. Famous duos and trios. I have no clue. You said the Supremes, that's a good one, but I didn't get that one at all. Didn't get that one at all. So guys, how many did you get correctly? How many did you get correctly? And if you didn't this week, don't be too hard on yourself. We're going to come back with the game again next week where we're going to view another letter of the alphabet and we're going to go down the list and you're going to tell us the words that you come up with. And with that being said, Jesse, we want to say thank you so much for joining us today. Right? Oh, hold on. Let me declare the winner. We did not declare a winner for this game. So, Jesse, I guess you are the winner for this game because you would have had 11 out of 12. So, congratulations to you, Jesse.
Don't worry, girl. You got it.
All right. Thank you so much. Listen, I'll be working really, really, really hard. Really, really hard. So to our listeners and viewers on all our platforms, we just want to say a big thank you to you for joining us today. And we trust really that you are inspired, motivated, and educated. To all our guests, thank you for showing up this morning and our support team that was absolutely phenomenal, especially during my crisis this morning. Thank you for making today's show what it was. We want you to join us next week right here on Weekends with Marsha J, where we what? Inspire, motivate, and
educate, amplifying the voice of positive influencers.
Thank you so much